Chapter 60. Because it was the weekend, Guagua didn't need to go to class, and Chin Wan didn't need to go to work, so the medicinal cuisine restaurant was particularly lively. Early in the morning, Guagua's beautiful singing voice could be heard. The sun is shining, Guagua is singing 3 songs. Mom is awake, Wan is busy dressing up. Sister Cho Yun is brushing her teeth. Dad is the most glorious cook. Su Yun really wanted to bang his head against the wall. Why did he have to cook on the weekend? Why was it not glorious for others to cook? But forget it. Thinking about how this house was full of beautiful and soft girls, how could he bear to let them do the cooking for him when he was so protective of the fairer sex? Once breakfast was over, the busy day officially began. Except for Guagua and Chin Wan who always wanted to go out shopping, the other 3 stayed at their posts. Because they couldn't go out, Guagua was a little depressed. The business now was not the same as before. Guagua, who was used to seeing a lot of money, obviously didn't care about this small amount of money. She had no interest in the cashier. She was actually holding the computer to study something like financial, economic, and stock. Su Yun suspected that this girl was pretending. After all, he didn't understand much about those things. However, Su Yun was still very envious of those people who were economically minded. They could raise a lot of money in the stock market by moving their fingers. They were much better than him, the cook. After a busy afternoon, the few beauties all went upstairs to rest, leaving only Su Yun downstairs to look after the restaurant. At this time, a quiet and fair beauty with creamy skin walked in. Su Yun's eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but look at the beauty. She was tall, had sharp teeth, and beautiful eyes. She was holding a silver microphone to show her temperament, but the development of her breasts was much worse than Chin Wan-er's. Following closely behind, an average-looking man with a camera walked in. "Gao Shu, are you sure it's this one?" Should be." The fair-skinned beauty looked at the man at the front desk who was staring at her chest. She was speechless. Su Yun rubbed his chin and smacked his lips, thinking, her parents gave her this name with good intentions, but this beauty's appearance is too disappointing. Towering? No matter how I look at it, it looks like an airport. It's not tall at all. The cameraman with the camera had sharp eyes. He keenly noticed that Su Yun's eyes were not honest. "Hey, brother, don't be in a daze. Give me some reaction." "Wow, are you guys from the TV station?" Su Yun slammed his hands on the table and stood up. His eyes widened. Just now, he had really forgotten how to react when he was looking at the beautiful woman. The person carrying the camera and the female anchor were together. If they were not shooting an action romance film in Japan, then they must be a TV reporter. Why did the reporters come to their medicinal cuisine restaurant? It was not time to eat. "Excuse me, is Chin Wan working as a chef's apprentice in this restaurant?" A tall, fair-skinned beauty asked quietly. "Are you talking about Chin Wan? Su Yun almost laughed out loud. "Chef's apprentice? Just her? It's too early." Gao Ji broke out in a cold sweat. Wan told her that she was working as a chef's apprentice here. How did she become a servant in the blink of an eye? Hearing the noise downstairs, Chin Wan stuck her head out of the staircase. When she saw the 2 people coming in, she was shocked. "Gao Ji, why did you come half an hour early? I was thinking about going out to welcome you." "Phew. Fortunately, I didn't come to the wrong place." Gao Ji let out a sigh of relief. This is called professionalism. Chin Wan had just walked downstairs when Su Yun said to her with a smile, "Chin Wan, when did I agree to be your apprentice? You really know how to flatter yourself. Haha, do your job well. Maybe I'll teach you a thing or two when I'm happy." Chin Wan gritted her teeth when she heard Su Yun's words. She walked up to him and punched him in the chest. "You're the servant. No one will think you're mute if you don't talk. Bragger." Su Yun did not show any weakness. Bastard. Chin Wan really wanted to kill him. This guy actually exposed her in front of her good friend. She was so embarrassed. Gao Ji saw the 2 of them quarreling and smiled. "Well, Wan, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm here to interview the owner and chef of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. You can introduce me to them quickly. Hearing the noise downstairs, Ruan Qingxuang and Guagua could not sit still. They came down one after another. What a beautiful sister! Guagua could not help but exclaim. She looked around and then her eyes fell on Gao Zhi's chest. She thought to herself, her body is not the type that Dad likes. Ruan Qingxuang looked at the two people who came in and then looked at Qin Wan. She felt that this girl was a little familiar. This is... Sister Qingxuang, come down quickly. Let me introduce you. Qin Wan waved her hand to let Ruan Qingxuang come down quickly. This is Gao Zhi of our Hadong City TV station. Hee. TV station? Ruan Qingxuang heard and quickly came down. Wow, so cool. Guagua could not help but run to Gao Zhi. Sister, am I going to be on TV? Of course. Gao Lu smiled faintly. What a clever and lovable little girl. Ruan Qingxuang said embarrassedly, my daughter is a little naughty. Please don't mind her. Gao Zhi smiled. Of course not. I like her very much. Sister, you have good taste. Guagua said with a bright face. Then she ran to the stairs. I'll be on TV later. I'll go up and change first. Damn. Qin Wan was speechless. It was not an interview. Why are you so excited? The cameraman had already started to film the environment of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. He was surprised that a restaurant could be so clean. Gao Zhi, this is the owner of our medicinal cuisine restaurant, Ruan Qingxuang. If you have anything to interview, just ask her directly. After Qin Wan introduced Ruan Qingxuang, her face became very unhappy. She pointed at Su Yun and said, the one who doesn't look reliable is the chef. Gao Zhi shook hands with Ruan Qingxuang with a smile. Then she looked at Su Yun awkwardly. She did not know how to greet him. Can you explain to me? Ruan Qingxuang was still confused. Hee, Sister Qingxuang, this is good news. Qin Wan said, because the people of Hadong City are very interested in medicinal cuisine recently, the TV station wants to interview a medicinal cuisine restaurant. Gao Zhi is in charge of this. She is my good friend. Of course, I won't miss this free advertising opportunity. Ruan Qingxuang was a little surprised when she heard the interview. Interview? I don't know how to. Don't be nervous. Just do as I say. After all, Gao Zhi was a person who had seen the world. She smiled and asked the cameraman to prepare. The cameraman was already shocked. This was the cleanest restaurant he had ever seen. The floor was spotless, the table was clean, and even the kitchen was shining. Qin Wan-er's help was really the icing on the cake. Ruan Qingxuang had just promoted the medicinal cuisine to several large hotels and restaurants through Dan Hongning. Lu Feng had just opened his third branch in the city center. Now that the TV station wanted to interview them, it would definitely increase their popularity. Su Yun, don't you want to change your clothes? Later, when you cook a dish, I will edit it for you as a promotional video. Qin Wan-er looked at him with disdain. Underwear and singlet? Can you wear anything less? You want to see it? Humph, I am not such a casual person. Su Yun walked into the kitchen and directly changed into a clean white chef suit. He was definitely a talented person. I am the most handsome chef, and I am the best cook among the handsome guys. The interview went on for more than 2 hours. During the whole process, Guagua did not come down again. Obviously, the people downstairs had forgotten about her. Guagua was very depressed. She had changed into such beautiful clothes, but she could not go on TV. If only she could go on TV. Her friends would be stunned in class on Monday. Cho Yun stared at Guagua with a straight face. Of course, she was not stupid enough to let Guagua show up in public. Now, there was no way to confirm whether the poisonous scorpion really came. If Guagua was seen on TV, then she was really looking for death. Can't I just show my face? Guagua was unwilling to give up and bit her finger. No. Cho Yun's answer was without any hesitation. Guagua could only sit on the sofa obediently and listen to the people downstairs talking loudly. Although she was usually a little naughty, once Cho Yun put on a straight face, Guagua would still be very obedient. Guagua knew that everything Cho Yun did was for her. The reason was very simple. Guagua knew that Cho Yun would even sacrifice her life for her. Guagua remembered very clearly what happened that night. She had been hiding it in the bottom of her heart and did not say it, but it did not mean that she forgot. If Cho Yun did not risk her life to bring her out, she did not know where that group of fierce people would have taken her. "I won't go." Guagua suddenly swept away her unhappiness and said sensibly, "There will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Cho Yun felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. "Guagua, sister is not good. Sister does not have the ability to protect you." Guagua stepped forward and patted Cho Yun's shoulder like a little adult. "Cho Yun sister, don't say that. Guagua has never thought like that. If it was not for sister, I don't know where I would have been taken to. Phew, sister, I miss grandpa a little." Cho Yun's heart trembled. Her sharp eyes suddenly looked out of the window. She must take revenge for Feng Qiansui. "Sister, don't worry," Guagua continued. "I have a wild, godfather. He is not someone to be trifled with. Even Guagua knows about it. You must know about it." Cho Yun was stunned. This little girl really did not give up until her words shocked people to death. Soon, the interview ended before the customers of the medicinal cuisine house came in the afternoon. Even the TV station had no right to interfere with the business of the medicinal cuisine house. Qin Wan tried to persuade them to stay for dinner, but they firmly refused, fearing that they would delay the business of the medicinal cuisine house. Qin Wan felt embarrassed, so she went upstairs to take the money and prepared to treat Gao Shu to Western food. Because of the sudden increase in customers, Gao Shu decided to film the flow of people in the medicinal cuisine house. But the camera was held down by a big hand, and the voice was hoarse. "What are you filming? Who allowed you to film?" Gao Shu and the cameraman were shocked. This group of people did not look like good people. "I asked them to film." Qin Wan just walked out of the medicinal cuisine house and glared at Dan Hongning, who was blocking Gao Shu. Dan Hongning saw Qin Wan and immediately put on a smile. "I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I didn't know you were invited by Officer Qin. Hey, shoot. Do you need my help?" Chapter 61. Yesterday, Su Yun did not allow them to come. Today, the three tigers of Southern City used the excuse of having a meal to support him. Of course, it was only the three of them. If the rest of them came, the medicinal cuisine house would be crowded. "What are you doing here?" Su Yun looked at the three of them. Qin Wan'er was going out to treat people, so there was no one to do the chores. "Just in time. One of you can wash the vegetables for me. Don't be idle. Go greet the customers." The three of them who came to eat were speechless. They did not use their brains. How could they have a share in Sister Shuang and Brother Yun's restaurant? Even the little ancestor Guagua had to help collect money. They could only do chores. The business of the medicinal cuisine house was still booming. The number of customers made Lu Feng's head ache. If he could open a branch and have such a good business, he would be happy. After all, the three of them were familiar with the process of the medicinal cuisine house. They were not careless at all and were very agile. The sky slowly darkened. When the crescent moon hung high, the customers left in twos and threes. The flourishing medicinal cuisine house finally returned to peace. The three tigers of Southern City did not have it easy. They were exhausted. Su Yun felt that the three of them had worked hard, so he asked them to stay in the restaurant and eat together. "Are you all so bored that you came to do chores here?" At the table, Su Yun asked very confusedly. Lu Feng did not know how to lie. He blushed and said, "Actually, we are worried about—" "Hey, nothing." Guagua's ears were very sharp. "What are you worried about?" "Ha ha ha, what are you worried about?" "Sister Guagua, did you hear it wrong?" Dan Hongning interrupted the topic. They estimated that Jin Biao would definitely come to make trouble today. However, there was no movement until now. It seemed that they had really miscalculated. Since Jin Biao did not come, they did not need to tell Su Yun. Kong Zhong grinned. We just want to have a meal cooked by Brother Yun. Cho Yun, who didn't like to talk when there weren't many people around, suddenly spoke to the three of them. What are you trying to do by placing so many people around the medicinal cuisine restaurant? How could those people escape from Cho Yun's eyes? Because of the news that a dangerous person had entered the city, Cho Yun could clearly observe any movement around the medicinal cuisine restaurant. The three tigers of South City had brought more than 200 people. How could they not be discovered by Cho Yun? Cho Yun had already told Su Yun about this news an hour ago. However, Su Yun was as busy as a bird and had no time to deal with the three of them. Now that he was free, he naturally wanted to ask the three of them what they were thinking. Brother Yun, maybe we were a little too careful. Lu Feng couldn't hold back his words and said awkwardly, we brought people here because we were afraid that something would happen. Su Yun glanced at Lu Feng. Go on, I'm listening. We were afraid that Jin Biao would retaliate. Lu Feng's heart trembled. Brother, you don't know Jin Biao. We heard that you bought Wang Qing's house for 100 yuan. We also know that Brother Yun is not an ordinary person, but Jin Biao is also a ruthless person. Half of the big things in Hadong City 5 years ago were caused by him. Dan Hongning explained, Brother Yun, we were afraid that Jin Biao would retaliate against you for extorting his wife's house. Buying and selling houses is a matter of mutual consent. F***ck. It's not like I didn't give her money. Su Yun didn't care. Dad, you bought this house for 100 yuan? Guagua looked at Su Yun in surprise. Su Yun nodded. Yes, how is it? Godfather is very good at living, isn't he? I'll pay double. Sell it to me, okay? Guagua looked at Su Yun with a bright smile. If you don't agree, I can't guarantee that I won't say anything to Mom. When the time comes, whether you can marry Mom or not is another matter. This little thing's move was too ruthless, wasn't it? Ruan Qingshuang was speechless. She picked up a piece of stewed eel and stuffed it into Guagua's mouth. Don't talk when you eat. Guagua, did you forget what Mom taught you? However, because of Guagua's words, Su Yun had to directly hand over the house to his precious goddaughter. Dad will transfer the ownership to you tomorrow. How about that? Dad, I'm satisfied if you say that. Guagua smiled. Dad, since you are so kind, then I will definitely be righteous. I will definitely keep the words we said when we first met. Su Yun certainly remembered that when he met Guagua, this little rascal asked for 200 yuan, 100 yuan as a greeting gift, and 100 yuan as a hiring fee. The three tigers of Nanqing saw that Su Yun didn't care about who Jin Biao was, and they were at their wits' end. Anyway, Brother Yun wasn't an ordinary person like them. No matter what happened, he was so calm that it made people click their tongue. Su Yun's cell phone suddenly rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Xiao Fei. He picked it up and asked, What's the matter? Brother Chong. Brother Chong was crippled. Our shop was set on fire. Xiao Fei was young after all. The things that he had just experienced seemed to have scared him silly. He was stuttering. Su Yun's face suddenly darkened. Where are you? Xiao Fei said while bending. I'm in the shop. Brother Chong's hands were nailed. Brother, I don't know what to do. I'll be there soon. Su Yun hung up the phone and directly got up and said to the three tigers of Nanqing, Take your brothers and follow me to Chong's branch in Hongnan district immediately. The three of them saw Su Yun's dignified face and knew that something big must have happened. Without saying anything, they got up and took out their cell phones to contact their brothers. Su Yun didn't waste any time. He went upstairs to get the car keys and took out 2 small bottles from his backpack. After going downstairs, he drove the Shenlong Buick straight to Hongnan district. Hearing Xiao Fei's voice, he knew that Chong must have been seriously injured. During the whole process, Ruan Qingshuang and Guagua didn't dare to ask, because they could see that Su Yun was absolutely furious. The dilapidated Shenlong Buick was driven by Su Yun like a Ferrari. It drifted and swayed on the road, making those who drove BMWs and Mercedes-Benz feel embarrassed. Su Yun rushed to the branch of the Medicinal Cuisine House in Hongnan District. At the door, Chong's newly bought Passat was smashed into a pile of scrap metal. Su Yun kicked the door and entered. The shop was obviously set on fire. Many places were blackened. Obviously, the fire was put out in time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Brother Yun. Xiao Fei was about to cry when he saw Su Yun. Although he was also beaten black and blue, he didn't care. Those bastards nailed Brother Chong in the kitchen. Su Yun didn't care about the mess outside. He strode into the kitchen. Chong's hands were pierced by 2 sharp fruit knives and nailed to the chopping board. The scene was too horrible to look at. Half of Chong's face was swollen like a steamed bun. When he saw Su Yun, he grinned and said, "Brother, you're here." No matter who did it, he did infuriate Su Yun. Although Su Yun's heart was burning with anger, he still calmly said to Xiao Fei, "There's a clinic 500 meters to the left. Go out and buy 2 bottles of hydrogen peroxide, 2 rolls of gauze, and a box of painkillers." "Yes." Xiao Fei turned around and ran out. "Bear with it for a while." Su Yun took out 2 small bottles from his pocket. He opened one and sprinkled the medicinal powder on Chong's hands where the knife had pierced through. The medicinal powder could quickly stop the bleeding. Chong's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw the medicinal powder. However, the pain only lasted for a few seconds. When you pull out the knife, there will be a second injury. If you're a man, bear with it. Su Yun grabbed a pair of chopsticks and placed it in front of Chong's mouth. "Bite it." Crunch. Chong didn't even frown. If he's a man, he'll King bite it. Chong was no longer the hooligan he was half a month ago. Ever since he followed Su Yun, he swore to be like Brother Yun and be a real man. Su Yun took a deep breath. Although he had pulled out the knife many times in the past, those people were all abnormal level. Generally, when the wound was caused by a cold weapon, they could just apply medicinal herbs such as Panax noto ginseng or immortal crane grass on the wound and they would be able to recover their fighting strength. Clearly, Chong was not one of those fierce people. Chong was just an ordinary person. He had to minimize the second injury to him. When Su Yun's hand grabbed the knife handle, Chong's forehead was already covered in sweat. He closed his eyes and bit down on the chopsticks. He thought, "Come on. If I cry out in pain, I'm not a man." Su Yun seemed to have heard Chong's thoughts. He suddenly exerted his strength and pulled out the fruit knife from Chong's left hand. Chong's vision turned black and a gotcha sound came from his mouth. He held his breath for half a minute before releasing it. "You can still hold on, right?" Su Yun looked at the sharp knife covered in blood. His eyes shone with a cold light. He wanted to return an eye for an eye. Chong couldn't speak as he bit on the chopsticks. He could only nod weakly. Su Yun didn't hesitate. He pulled out the sharp knife from Chong's right hand. This time, Chong finally relaxed. When he let go, 7 or 8 of the chopsticks in his mouth were bitten off. However, he still grinned and said, "Good." Su Yun couldn't bear to knock his head again. "I think you're not being played hard enough." Of course, Chong knew that Su Yun said that out of anger. He grinned again. He really didn't want to talk now. It was difficult for him to even open his mouth. Now, even smiling seemed to take up all his strength. Xiao Fei ran in after buying the things. Su Yun asked Xiao Fei to clean Chong's wounds with hydrogen peroxide. Then, he took out another small bottle containing a black ointment. "This thing has a miraculous effect on healing wounds, but it will leave a mark." Su Yun glanced at Chong. "Do you want to try it?" Chong nodded with all his strength and said reluctantly, "Brother, I'm not a woman. I'm not afraid of being unlucky." Use. If Chong knew that this Black Heaven fragrance ointment could be sold for 7 figures on the black market, he wouldn't have used it even if he was beaten to death. If the 9 transformations soul return pill was a super elixir for internal injuries, then the Heaven Fragrance Ointment was a super medicine for external injuries. Chapter 62. In the end, Su Yun used gauze to bandage Chong's hands and threw the painkillers in Xiao Fei's hand to him. If you can't take it, eat it. This thing is harmful to the nervous system and it hurts the kidneys. When Chong heard this, he threw the painkillers to the side. I'm a man. I don't need to eat this thing. It doesn't hurt anymore. Brother Chong, don't be stubborn. You're sweating. Xiao Fei still felt sorry for this guy who was better than his real brother. Why don't you eat too? Just two shouldn't affect you. Eat your head. Chong was exposed and felt embarrassed. I already said it doesn't hurt. Didn't you hear Brother Yun say it hurts the kidneys? If I can't get it up in the future, can you bear the responsibility? At this time, the southern city's 3 tigers also arrived. When they saw the broken car at the door, Kong Zhong was the first to exclaim. He was absolutely sure that this was done by Jin Biao's people because Jin Biao had a guy called Zhao Sanlai who liked to smash cars. No matter who he fought with, he would definitely smash the car first. Dan Hongning pushed the door open and saw such a terrible scene. He muttered in his heart. He didn't expect Jin Biao to not directly attack the main store. So King Sinister. Lu Feng's face was gloomy. He seemed to have thought of something, but because he wasn't sure, he didn't say anything. Why are you all here? Chong was stunned. He was really flattered. Who did it? Su Yun had also healed his injuries. Now, what he needed to do was to make the other party return everything that should be returned. Chong's slightly better face turned yellow. Brother, did we offend Jin Biao because of that house? Jin Biao. That's Wang Qing's man. Chong gritted his teeth. His face showed more fear than hatred for Jin Biao. Su Yun sneered and didn't say anything. It seemed that the southern city's 3 tigers were right to worry. However, none of them expected Jin Biao to attack here. How did they know about my shop? Chongzi was also a little puzzled. Jin Biao brought more than 200 people to surround this place before we finished our business. I didn't think they would be from the east district of Hadong City at first. Looking at Chong's hands wrapped in thick gauze, Lu Feng finally said what he wanted to say. I'm afraid that one of our own betrayed us. The moment these words were spoken, it was as if 1,000 ripples had been stirred up on a calm lake. First, Jin Biao must have learned about the ambush of the 3 tigers of Southern City near the Medicinal Cuisine House through the people in the Southern District. Second, Jin Biao must have learned about the branch of the Medicinal Cuisine House in the Hongnan District from that person. Who was the mole? Su Yun looked out of the Medicinal Cuisine restaurant. The 3 tigers of Southern City led more than 200 people and dozens of cars, all of which were piled up at the entrance of the branch in Hongnan District. Presumably, that guy called Jin Biao was about to make a move on RuanQingshuang's Medicinal Cuisine restaurant. What a good trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Of course, someone must have relayed all their information to Jin Biao. Otherwise, Jin Biao wouldn't have been so confident. Oh no! Dan Hongning suddenly realized. Isn't Sister Shuang and the others in danger? Lu Feng also slapped his forehead. Yes. We're already in Hongnan District. Jin Biao must have taken the opportunity to kill his way there. No, we have to take our brothers back immediately. Since they're here, it won't be easy for them to leave. Kong Zhong said with lingering fear. With Jin Biao's style of doing things, how could he not leave some people here to attack the reinforcements? Just as Kong Zhong finished speaking, there was a sudden commotion outside. Soon, the 200 men of the 3 tigers of Southern City were surrounded. The 3 were shocked and could not help but break out in a cold sweat. The older, the wiser. Jin Biao was not that easy to deal with. Su Yun's lips curled up slightly. Fortunately, there was still Cho Yun in the Medicinal Cuisine restaurant. Unless Jin Biao could afford to raise 2 second-rate masters, there was no way he could have a good time with Cho Yun. Brother, what should we do? Chong said nervously. He had seen that group of people just now. They were King Fierce. Relying on Zhao Sanlai's gun, they were all arrogant and insufferably arrogant. Of course, we'll give them a taste of their own medicine. Su Yun was too lazy to care whether the other party was from the eastern district of Hadong City or not. There was only one end for people who wanted to cause trouble for him. They would end up the same as those who played with eggs. It was over. Su Yun pushed the door open under the shocked gazes of the 3 tigers of Southern City. He faced the crowd and said calmly, "Whoever did this, step forward. Those who did not participate, get lost." Zhao Sanlai had been with Jin Biao since he was 15 years old. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. He was no longer a rookie. When he heard Su Yun's words, he laughed. "Kid, you've got guts. I've seen a lot of stubborn people. Today, I'll give you a massage and see if you can still get tough." "You're the one who nailed Chong with a knife?" Su Yun's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Zhao Sanlai. Zhao Sanlai felt a chill in his heart. What a scary gaze. He did not expect this kid to be an ordinary person. He had no choice but to take out the gun in his pocket. "So what if it was me?" Zhao Sanlai raised the gun in his hand. "Brother Yun, be careful." The 3 tigers of Southern City were shocked. After all, Zhao Sanlai was not the kind of person who only knew how to scare people. He actually dared to shoot. Out of 10 gun cases in Hadong City, Zhao Sanlai was involved in at least 3 or 4 of them. Zhao Sanlai was proud of himself, and the morale of the 200 men behind him doubled. In comparison, the 200 men of the 3 tigers of Southern City were listless. Although Dan Hongning, Kong Zhong, and Lu Feng all had guns in their houses, none of them dared to take them out. The boss of the 4 Wolves gang, Wang Xuanqi, had just been sentenced to 30 years in prison for possessing guns. Whoever played with guns in the Southern 2nd District would be causing trouble. Besides, even if they had guns, they were not like Zhao Sanlai, who would shoot people for no reason. Everyone was afraid, but Su Yun was not. In his previous missions, he had faced people who would shoot people without a gun. Moreover, those people he had met before could kill people with a toothpick even if they did not have a gun. They were hundreds of times more dangerous than Zhao Sanlai in front of him. Therefore, in Su Yun's eyes, a gun was just like a toothpick. In the hands of a real fierce person, a toothpick was also a gun, and the gun in Zhao Sanlai's hand was just a toothpick. Su Yun did not give Zhao Sanlai a chance to continue talking tough, nor did he give him a chance to shoot. His figure flashed in front of Zhao Sanlai, and with a lightning-fast sweep of his leg, he kicked the gun out of Zhao Sanlai's hand. Zhao Sanlai's heart skipped a beat. Before he could react, he was hit in the chest by a heavy punch that contained a huge hidden force. Zhao Sanlai's body flew a few meters and directly hit a black car. Su Yun's punch was the limit of what an ordinary person could withstand. He did not want to kill people, so he did not use any internal force in his punch. Even so, this punch was enough for Zhao Sanlai to suffer. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his breathing became rapid. Su Yun did not give his opponent any chance to breathe. He rushed forward again, and with a flash of cold light in his hands, the 2 sharp knives that had nailed Chong to the chopping board appeared in his hands. Before Zhao Sanlai could react, Su Yun had already stabbed him with the knives. The blades pierced through Zhao Sanlai's right palm, went through the back of his hand, and stabbed into the hood of the car. Zhao Sanlai's scream tore through the night sky. An hour ago, he was the one who had stabbed Chong's hand and nailed Chong to the chopping board. Retribution came quickly. Before he could finish screaming, Su Yun had already stabbed a second knife into Zhao Sanlai's left hand. Su Yun used the same method to nail Zhao Sanlai's hands to the hood of a black car. Zhao Sanlai screamed in pain. He used to like torturing people, but he did not expect that he would be unable to take it when he was being tortured like this. "Shut up." Su Yun suddenly stood up, and stomped heavily on Zhao Sanlai's body. Zhao Sanlai's body and the car sank a few centimeters at the same time, and then there was no sound at all. Everything Su Yun did was under the eyes of more than 400 people from both sides. So many people were silent after Zhao Sanlai fainted. Dan Hongning could not help but sigh in his heart. Brother Yun was indeed Brother Yun. No one would be able to do something like this. He faced a gun head-on and took down a person without hesitation. In terms of ruthlessness, Dan Hongning had never seen anyone more ruthless than Brother Yun. Fortunately, he did not offend Brother Yun at that time. Kong Zhong still had a lingering fear. When Su Yun helped him take care of Shanzi and his gang at the battlefield, he knew that Su Yun was not simple, but he did not expect Brother Yun to be so ruthless. Brothers, what are you waiting for? F***CK, let's kill them. Lu Feng suddenly roared, and more than 200 of his subordinates instantly became aggressive. The other side's leader was captured by Su Yun, so naturally, they were in a mess. Although the two sides were evenly matched in terms of numbers, their momentum was completely subverted by Su Yun. In less than half an hour, the other side's people were cut into pieces by the three tigers of Southern City. The Hongnan District Police Station did not have a police officer as responsible as Qin Wan-er. When they received the report and heard that it was a gang fight, they were not willing to intervene. A police car came, but after the fight ended, they caught some people who were beaten to the point that they could not get up. Zhao Sanlai was blacklisted in Hadong City. When the police saw that he was nailed to the car, they all secretly sighed. What kind of gang could be so fierce that even Jin Biao, the boss of Hadong City, lost his men? The three tigers of Southern City fully carried out Su Yun's instructions. After the brothers cut up the other side's people, they quickly drove away from the scene. After all, this was Hongnan District, not Wenhui District. Qin Wan-er could not protect them in this district. If anyone was caught, they could only blame it on their bad luck. Su Yun drove the Shenlong Bukong back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant with Xiaoqiang. On the way back, Xiaoqiang felt sorry for his car. It had only been driven for 2 days, and it was destroyed. F***CK, there was no insurance for an illegal car, and he could not report it to the police. 30,000 yuan was wasted just like that. How could he not feel sorry for losing such a big piece of meat? Because the fight in Hongnan District was too much, the three tigers of Southern City had to disperse their brothers. Otherwise, they would be easily targeted by the police. After the crowd dispersed, only the three of them drove to catch up with Su Yun. The brothers could not go to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, but the three of them could not. Chapter 63. 10 different cars of different styles were parked in an orderly manner in front of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Jin Biao strode out of his black Mercedes-Benz S350 and looked at the front room with a calm expression. He had to admit that his wife had good taste. 5 years ago, he bought this place for less than 500,000 yuan. Now, even if someone offered him 3 million yuan, he would not sell it. Wang Qing had told Jin Biao a long time ago that this place would be the center of their expansion into the southern district of Hadong City in the future. Last year, they rented it to Ruan Qingshuang at a low rent of 20,000 yuan a year because Wang Qing liked Ruan Qingshuang's weak personality and could easily take back the house at any time. However, Jin Biao had never expected that the weak woman Wang Qing had told him would become the leader of the southern district of Hadong City. It was like a fairy tale to him, and he could not believe it at all. Jin Biao was not a reckless young man. Of course, he would not be stupid enough to go to the southern district of Hadong City without knowing anything. If he was such a person, he would have been dead 5 years ago. Last night, Jin Biao had found someone to contact the foot soldier who was involved in illegal car sales. He knew that the guy had a lot of connections and had a good relationship with Lu Feng, one of the three tigers of Southern City. Most importantly, he was a money grubber, so Jin Biao only needed 100,000 yuan to buy the information from him. Coincidentally, because of Chong Zi's purchase of cars, the infantryman's relationship with Lu Feng became closer, so he was very clear about the situation here. At first, the infantryman had some scruples, but later, because he couldn't resist the temptation of money, he finally told Jin Biao everything he knew. Therefore, Jin Biao knew his enemy well, and he was determined to win. He had Zhao Sanlai lead more than 200 men to smash the branch in the Hongnan district in order to lure the enemy out of its hole. By the time the enemy arrived with all their men, his real destination would have been an empty shell. Although Hongnan district was not far from Wenhui district, it would take at least 20 minutes to drive back. Besides, He had arranged for San Lai to keep an eye on them. He believed that the 3 tigers of Nanqing would not dare to provoke San Lai, who was armed with a gun. That was why Jin Biao could leisurely stand at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant and light a cigarette. The 30 people behind him were the best fighters around him. There was Xia Lei and his group of tigers of Huabei from the 3 northeastern provinces, and Lu Huazi and his group of Jiangnan dragons from the other side of the Yangtze River. "Brother Biao, why aren't we making a move yet?" Xia Lei was impatient and could not hold back his restless heart. Jin Biao smoked his cigarette and smiled. "What's the hurry? The South District of Hadong City will be ours sooner or later. When the time comes, I'll ask Wanwu to come here. You guys have to help him." Lu Huazi had a sinister look on his face. "Brother Biao, is the guy who beat up the young master here too? Let's go." Jin Biao smiled. "You don't have to worry about that. That kid is dead if he falls into Sanlai's hands. Sanlai has a gun on him. He's the most suitable person for what happened today." After saying that, the smile on Jin Biao's face turned into a sneer. He wanted Zhao Sanlai to shoot that bastard. Even if Zhao Sanlai had to go into hiding for 2 years, he would not tolerate the fact that his son was almost killed. Xia Lei spat. "Hadong City is in such a hurry to check on guns. The only one who would dare to shoot is Brother Sanlai." "Brother Biao, you really trust Brother Sanlai? When did you start treating us the same way you treat him?" "Ha ha ha, Sanlai has been with me since he was 15. It's been 20 years. Jin Biao looked proud. "You guys can't compare to him." "Brother Biao, let's do it," Lu Huazi said calmly. "Brother Sanlai should be done with his side." Jin Biao nodded and said to everyone, "Listen up, no one is to destroy the things inside. This is my house. Now that medicinal cuisine is so popular in Hadong City, it's a source of income. We'll take back the house and the business will be ours." The people in the medicinal cuisine restaurant did not notice the danger. Cho Yun was locked in her room to adjust her blood flow. Ruan Qingshuang was guiding Guagua on her homework. Qin Wan went out to treat the television station's Gao Shu to a meal. In the end, Gao Shu brought her home to be a guest and she would not be back for a while. Ruan Qingshuang did not lock the door because there were still people who had not come back yet. Xia Lei was the first to rush in. He opened his throat and shouted, "Where is he?" This gave Guagua a big fright. If it weren't for the fact that Father Yun wasn't in the shop, Guagua would have already gone down to have a falling out with that person. Shouting in the middle of the night as if it was a robbery, how hair-raising. Ruan Qingshuang quickly ran downstairs. Seeing the other person's aggressive manner, she felt her hair stand on end. "We're already closed. If you want to eat, come back earlier tomorrow." Seeing such a beautiful lady boss, Jin Biao was quite surprised. He had heard from Wang Qing and his son that the person who rented the house was a beauty, but he did not expect her to be so beautiful. She was so beautiful that he wanted to have an affair. Xia Lei was also quite surprised. She was such a beautiful girl and he really couldn't bear to hit her or scare her. "You're the boss?" Lu Huazi did not know how to be gentle. He said coldly, "You're the one who unified the southern district of Hadong City?" Ruan Qingshuang took a long time to come around. She nodded, not quite understanding. "Yes, it's me. I'm Wang Qing's man." Jin Biao said calmly. "You should know why I'm here." Ruan Qingshuang panicked in her heart. Su Yun had really caused a lot of trouble. The other party looked like a rich man who had a lot of money. No matter how she looked at him, he was much more powerful than those hooligans from before. Even the people around him looked fiercer than the 3 tigers of Southern City. "What do you want?" "The house, we've already bought it," Ruan Qingshuang said with no confidence. Jin Biao's eyes flashed coldly. "You call $100 buying a house? That's extortion." Guagua heard the sound and walked downstairs. She was annoyed by this bad guy's words. "Zhou you beat Huang Gai. One is willing to beat, the other is willing to suffer. We only bought it because you were willing to sell it. What right do you have to say that we're extorting you? What a stubborn little girl. You want to play dumb with me? Jean Biao looked at the girl walking downstairs and felt no pity. Then I want the house back today. You have to give it to me, even if you don't want to. What are you going to do about it? Guagua was very angry when she heard that. Her father had just become a tall, rich, and handsome man with a house and a car. This person wanted to take back the house. It was extremely hateful. You are extorting. So what? Jean Biao said coldly. Take them away. I'd like to see who can do anything to me. Yes. Lu Huazi and Xia Lei's eyes flashed fiercely. Before Ruan Qingxuang could react, someone grabbed her arm. What are you doing? What are we doing? Xia Lei laughed coldly. Our brother Biao is going to be the groom tonight. Ha ha ha. Guagua, who had seen many storms, used all her strength to shout upstairs. Sister Chou Yun, save me. Chou Yun, who was meditating, was fully focused on adjusting her tendons and veins. She was not paying attention to what was going on outside. However, Guagua's shout went straight through her nerves. Chou Yun's eyes suddenly opened. Without thinking, she got up and broke through the door. Chou Yun jumped down the stairs and appeared in front of everyone. She picked up Guagua and put her behind her back. She shouted angrily, Who are you? How dare you? Yo! Jean Biao was really flattered by the sudden appearance of another beautiful girl. It was the first time in his life that he had encountered two beauties of this level. He was really lucky tonight. Ha ha ha, brother Biao, your luck is too good. Do you want me and Lu Huazi to help you enjoy one? Xia Lei's eyes lit up when he saw a classic beauty like Chou Yun. He liked this type. Jean Biao snorted. He could not hide the pride on his face. Do you think brother Biao is old? Ha ha ha, I'm still a treasure. Chou Yun heard him and shouted angrily, Pervert! As soon as she said that, Xia Lei and Lu Huazi felt a sharp pain in their hands. They immediately let go of Ruan Qingxuang. Ruan Qingxuang quickly ran to Chou Yun's side. She ran over and picked up Guagua. Only then did she notice that Chou Yun had a soft sword in her hand. Jean Biao could not help but frown. When did this woman have a weapon in her hand? He did not even see what was going on. F***CK. Slut. Xia Lei had a few bloody cuts on his hand. He could not help but curse, If I don't strip you naked and parade you around today, I'll change my surname to yours. After saying that, Xia Lei was about to make a move. However, he was no match for Chou Yun. A cold light flashed and the two blades formed a cross imprinted on Xia Lei's face. Xia Lei's face was filled with pain. He screamed and used his hands to claw at his painful cheeks. Blood instantly dyed his hands red. Chou Yun kicked Xia Lei out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant at lightning speed. She exuded a murderous aura and shouted, Get lost! Xia Lei, who used to be able to kill 7 or 8 people in a fight, could not even last 2 moves in front of a woman. He was sent flying by a woman's kick. This made Jean Biao speechless. Lu Huazi felt a chill in her heart. The woman in front of her was definitely not an ordinary person. Get out! Chou Yun's cold voice issued a final warning to Jean Biao and his gang. How could Jean Biao tolerate a woman shouting at him? Even if he was indeed frightened by Chou Yun's skills, he still roared, Go! All of you go! Whoever catches this woman today will have a good time. It was said that there would be brave men in the face of great rewards. In fact, there would also be brave men in the face of beauty. A group of reckless people rushed towards Chou Yun. Who was Chou Yun? Even in the underground world, she was a violent fox venerable. In the underground world, there were not many who could survive after offending a fox venerable. Although Chou Yun would not casually kill people in this society, she would definitely not show mercy. In just one exchange, 7 or 8 people were sent flying. These people only felt pain when they were thrown out. They either had their ears removed or their fingers cut off. Not a single one of them didn't lose a piece of flesh. Chou Yun was a person who loved cleanliness. After those people were kicked out, they realized that their parts had fallen off. Some of them had their ears removed, some of them had their noses cut off, some of them had their lips cut off, and some of them could not even find their fingers. Chapter 64. Cho Yun stood at the entrance of the medicinal cuisine restaurant with a murderous aura. She glared at the remaining people and shouted, "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Jin Biao trembled. He couldn't believe that there was such a master hidden in this small medicinal cuisine restaurant. The infantryman told him that Su Yun was very scary. He lured Su Yun away and let Zhao Sanlai deal with him. That was why he dared to bring Xia Lei and Lu Huazi here. Obviously, the infantryman's information was not accurate. Jin Biao thought that there was still hope. As long as Zhao Sanlai dealt with Su Yun tonight, he would have another chance to take this place. He gritted his teeth and said, "I admit defeat today. From now on, I, Jin Biao, will mind my own business in the 2nd District of the South." Cho Yun couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with this kind of person. "Get out." "Humph." Jin Biao snorted and turned to leave. "I told you to get out. Didn't you hear me?" Guagua was not satisfied. This rude and arrogant-looking man was actually so rude that he wanted to snatch the house that her father bought at a cheap price. Guagua wouldn't forgive him so easily. Jin Biao was stunned. He didn't expect this little girl to be so aggressive, so he ignored Guagua and continued to walk out. However, someone didn't agree. Guagua asked him to get out, but Cho Yun naturally wouldn't let him walk out. Suddenly, 2 chopsticks shot out from Cho Yun's hands and hit Jin Biao's legs. Jin Biao's lower body went soft and he fell to his knees. "Get out." Cho Yun's word was emotionless. It was just describing an action. "I asked you to get out, not walk out." Jin Biao made up his mind. A great man knew when to yield and when to stand tall. He had miscalculated today and lost in front of a master. He still had the same saying, there was still hope as long as there was life. As long as he had the chance to get out, he was determined to hire a master to kill all of them, no matter how much money he spent. Jin Biao's fat body, which weighed nearly 200 kilograms, fell to the ground with a loud thud. He gritted his teeth and rolled away. Since the boss had taken the lead, the rest of the people inside naturally didn't dare to say anything. Without needing Cho Yun to do anything, they all lay on the ground and rolled out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. One after another, it was as if they were playing a game of catch. Su Yun, who had rushed back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, saw this scene and knew that it was Guagua's bad idea. Ruan Qingxuang would not have such a bad idea, and Cho Yun would not be so boring. When Chong saw Jin Biao rolling out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, he pinched his thigh hard to make sure that he was not dreaming. The 3 tigers of Southern City, who returned to the medicinal cuisine house one after another because they were worried, were completely shocked. They were worried, but now they thought that it was unnecessary. Cho Yun was here. Jin Biao had only brought 20 or 30 people, but he didn't even have a gun. Wasn't he asking for trouble? "Let's go." Jin Biao stood up with a gloomy face. He would never forgive the woman who humiliated him, especially the little girl. "You come and go as you please. Who do you think I am?" Su Yun smiled and walked straight to Jin Biao. Jin Biao trembled and glared at Su Yun. "Who are you?" "Su Yun." The 2 words were like thunder in his ears. Jin Biao's body trembled violently as the voice fell. His eyes slowly changed from suspicion to fear. Zhao Sanlai had a gun and more than 200 people, but he still couldn't stop this person in Hongnan District? How was this possible? Unless this person wasn't human, otherwise, how could he escape from his trap? Jin Biao took out his phone in a panic and wanted to make a call to confirm. "No need to call." Su Yun waved his hand and said carelessly, "Your people must have been taken away by the police. Don't worry. Wait for a while. Our famous violent policewoman will be here soon." Jin Biao's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" Su Yun put away his carefree expression. His eyes were cold and angry. This anger was not only because of Chong's injury, but also because this person wanted to take away Yuan Qingxuang's heart that had just been trampled on. This had happened once, and Su Yun would not allow it to happen again. "Do you want to know?" The 3 words came out of Su Yun's mouth, but in Jin Biao's ears, they sounded like they came from hell. Jin Biao's years of experience in the underworld told him that he could not afford to offend this person. 15 years ago, he had spent 2 years in prison. At that time, the prison bully had the same aura as Su Yun. It was said that the bully was a master in the underworld, so no one in prison dared to touch his dignity. At that time, Jin Biao trembled when he saw the bully. He did not expect this unknown kid in front of him to give him the same feeling. This was the real deal. Jin Biao finally opened his mouth. He even gave up on the idea of revenge. "Brother, name a price. If I have offended you in any way, I will apologize. If I dare to have any thoughts about the South District of Hadong City again, I will die a horrible death." Su Yun ignored Jin Biao's retreat and only said 2 words. "It's too late." F***ck. Xia Lei, who had almost been killed by Chou Yun, stood up unwillingly. He gritted his teeth and pulled out a dagger from his waist. He walked towards Su Yun. "I will kill you." "Ah." However, before he could finish his sentence, Su Yun kicked him in the crotch like a viper spitting out its tongue. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. What a fierce and ruthless kick. This was completely aimed at ending his bloodline. Not to mention ordinary people, even monks who had practiced the golden bell shield and iron shirt would be knocked down by such a kick. "Brother Biao, you go first." Lu Huazi was a righteous person. He knew that he was no match for Su Yun, but he still stood in front of him. At this time, the 3 tigers of Southern City had arrived. Dan Hongning frowned. "Lu Huazi, if you know what's good for you, move aside." "Huazi, all the brothers in the underworld think that you are a man. As long as you are willing to move aside, I, Lu Feng, will plead for you in front of Brother Yun today." Lu Feng looked at Su Yun. "Brother Yun, I have a good eye for people." Without waiting for Su Yun to speak, Lu Huazi scolded, "Good eye my ass. If you have a good eye for people, why didn't you see that the footman who sold the black car was a money grubber?" Lu Feng's face darkened. So it was the footman who sold them out, that son of a bitch. Su Yun didn't say anything and suddenly punched. His fist carried a strong wind and layers of strength. It sent Lu Huazi flying a few meters away. He was lying on the ground and couldn't stand up. Today, it was useless for anyone to plead for mercy. He wouldn't forgive anyone who threatened the medicinal cuisine restaurant. "In the future, I, Jin Biao, and everyone will follow you." When Jin Biao saw that the 2 champions beside him had both been killed in an instant, he promptly made a decision. "I'll give you the entire business street in South Tuo District, as well as all the entertainment venues in Jingxian District. I'll give you everything." Su Yun snorted disdainfully. "You didn't give them to me. I took them myself." Jin Biao gritted his teeth. "Brother, take a step back and you will have a better view." "Those words sound familiar," Su Yun said with a frown. Guagua had heard the movement outside long ago. It was only because Yuan Qingxuang had been pulling her that she didn't run out. Hearing this, Guagua couldn't help but shout to the outside of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. "Dad, it was that stinky old man from the Dead Dog Gang who said it." Su Yun nodded and thanked Guagua with a smile. Yes, I remember now. Guagua is really amazing. You can even remember this." "Of course." Before Guagua could finish being proud, Yuan Qingxuang dragged her into the house. Wang Xuanqi from the 4 Wolves gang. Jin Biao's eyes flashed with a trace of uneasiness. Wang Xuanqi's public trial was only a few days ago, and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. He was a member of the underworld, illegally possessing guns, disrupting people's livelihood, and bullying others. Jin Biao suddenly understood. At first, he didn't believe that a small policeman could overturn the 4 Wolves gang and the Knife and Axe gang. It turned out that he had the help of an expert. It seemed that he had underestimated the people of the Southern District. A taxi stopped 200 meters away. The taxi driver looked ahead and said with some fear, "Big sister." "Who is your big sister?" Jean Wayner's veins bulged as she angrily rebuked. "Sorry, miss. You are a miss. Your whole family is a miss." Jean Wayner was really angry. This taxi driver was too bad at talking. The taxi driver's face darkened. Miss, okay? You can get off here. I think the place you went to is a bit messy." Only then did Jean Wayner notice the situation in front of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Without saying anything, she opened the door and ran over. The driver was stunned for a few seconds before he suddenly realized. "Hey, you didn't pay." Jean Wayner didn't have any other thoughts. She rushed to the medicinal cuisine restaurant in one breath. When she saw the 3 tigers of the Southern District, she was burning with anger. "What the hell are you doing?" The 3 of them were shocked. When they turned around and saw that it was Jean Wayner, they were relieved. "Speak of the devil." Soo-Yun turned around and grinned. "Do you know who this person is?" Jean Wayner was stunned. Although they didn't participate in the management of the East 2nd District, she often heard of notorious people like Jean Biao. How could she not know him? Boss of the East, Jean Biao. "Oh, you know quite a lot." Soo-Yun raised his eyebrows and pointed at Chong's hands. "See, this person did it. He caused serious injuries. We are a group of witnesses." Jean Biao's heart tightened. This guy was clearly giving the police a chance to catch him. Chong's hands weren't injured by him. These ruthless things were done by Zhao Sanlai. It wasn't the first time that Jean Wayner cooperated with Soo-Yun. With the cases of Wang Xuanqi and Fan Nanjie, she wasn't surprised that Soo-Yun caught such a big hoodlum for her. She calmly said, "Okay, I owe you one. Tell me what you want to eat later." The police had wanted to catch Jean Biao for a long time, but Jean Biao was too cunning. When he did things, he had underlings to cover for him. They didn't have a chance to detain and interrogate him. Now was a good opportunity. Only with evidence could they have a chance to interrogate him. A few days ago, the shooting in Jingxian District's Letian Entertainment City had been suspected to be related to him. Chapter 65. The shiny black Mercedes-Benz was like a flash of lightning in the night. It didn't even care about the 15-centimeter high roadside. It directly brushed against the car's chassis and rushed out. After all, Jean Biao was a gangster who had seen the wind and waves. Not only was he flexible, but he also had to be able to run at the critical moment. As long as he wasn't caught, he could be flexible. As long as he was willing to spend money, he could turn black into white. Jean Wayner pulled out her gun and shouted, "Stop." At this time, this kind of threat was useless to Jean Biao. This was Hua Xia, not the United States. Even if you were a police officer, you couldn't shoot at will. Jean Biao completely ignored Jean Wayner's intention. Instead, he stepped on the accelerator even harder. If they didn't chase now, they wouldn't have the chance. Soo-Yun didn't say anything and directly got into the Shenlong Buick that Chong had eliminated. Before they could react, the Shenlong Buick's engine burst out with a strange sound and rushed out. "Hey, Soo-Yun, wait for me." Jean Wayner ran out a few steps to chase, but Soo-Yun didn't have the slightest intention to stop. Chong panicked. That car is a broken thing that has been overhauled many times. If Brother Yun drives like that, it will probably explode in a while. Lu Feng was dumbfounded. He said as he rushed into the car, "Then what are we waiting for? Chase." Dan Hongning and Kong Zhong also started to move quickly. Jean Wayner followed Lu Feng into the car without caring about anything else. Her face was full of anxiety. "Let's go. Quick." Lu Feng didn't dare to disobey. Although this wasn't the first time he participated in the cooperation between the police and the people, he was still a little excited. He didn't expect that he could do something so meaningful. The Wrangler that wasn't afraid of any kind of road directly chased westward. God's Walker and Q5 didn't want to be outdone and followed closely behind. Chong and Xiao Fei also sat in Kong Zhong's car and followed along. Just now, there was chaos in front of the medicinal cuisine house. Now, it was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. "Dad, are you going to drive that broken car to chase after the Mercedes-Benz?" Guagua was speechless. She slapped her little face with her chubby hands. "Sigh, I really lost to him." Ruan Qingxuang picked up Guagua and said, "Then let's go upstairs and wait for Father and Sister Warner, okay?" Guagua turned her head suspiciously. "Mom, you acknowledge Dad? Could it be that she agreed to marry him? Are you itching for a beating again?" Ruan Qingxuang blushed at Guagua's words. Did she make a mistake just now? Cho Yun hadn't gone out since a while ago. She suddenly felt that the little medicinal cuisine house was no longer safe, and the invading forces were getting bigger and bigger. It was like a circle. The bigger the circle, the larger the contact area. The medicinal cuisine house had changed from a small circle to the center of power in the South District of Hadong City. Even people from the East District had come to find them. The more it was like this, the more dangerous it was. Cho Yun knew this very well. After all, if Green Ghost had sent Red Scorpion, he wouldn't have asked a nobody for information like Mountain Cat did. Only Jin Biao, a real gangster in Hadong City, was qualified to be his eyes and ears. However, Cho Yun didn't see anything from Jin Biao's reaction. Maybe he wasn't the one Red Scorpion liked. Jin Biao's subordinates, Lu Huazi and Xia Lei, saw that everyone was chasing after their boss. Their first thought was to escape. At this moment, Cho Yun pushed the door open. After a wave of attacks, Lu Huazi's group of Jiang Nanlong and Xia Lei's group of Manchurian tigers were all knocked unconscious on the ground by Cho Yun. Although Cho Yun basically ruled out the possibility that Jin Biao was Red Scorpion's spy, she would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let go of one. As long as Qin Wan caught all these people, she would feel safer. Although it would be safer to kill all these people, Cho Yun wasn't a bloodthirsty demon who killed people like flies. As long as these people were taken away by the police, all the hidden dangers would be eliminated. Su Yun stepped on the gas pedal. The divine dragon Little Fukong, which was almost scrapped and had only 4th gear, actually managed to reach 130 kilometers per hour. The sound from the engine was completely abnormal, but Su Yun didn't have time to worry about this. He had to catch up to that bastard Jin Biao before the car was scrapped. Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz S350 was a car worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Reaching 130 kilometers per hour was absolutely easy. However, this was after all an urban area. There were so many cars and people. Driving so fast was no different from seeking death. Jin Biao, who cherished his life and loved money, didn't want to get injured. Secondly, he didn't want the car to be scratched. Therefore, the divine dragon Little Fukong quickly caught up to him. Looking at the divine dragon Little Fukong, which had a broken headlight and was still using its wide flash, entering the rearview mirror, Jin Biao didn't dare to let down his guard. Just in time for the green light to turn green, Jin Biao quickly turned left and ran towards the highway leading back to Tuoshan District. Su Yun didn't hesitate either. The divine dragon Little Fukong followed after him with a beautiful drift. This drifting technique was quite amazing. If Hollywood director Lin Yibin saw this scene, he would definitely be heavily invited for the Fast and Furious 8, 9, and 10 episodes. Once on the highway, Jin Biao finally found the advantage of his Mercedes-Benz. He could easily break 130 kilometers per hour. He didn't care about the speed limit or the fine for taking photos. The most important thing now was to escape. Su Yun had already stepped on the gas pedal to the bottom. He suddenly changed gears at high speed. The car's exhaust suddenly emitted thick smoke. Following that, Su Yun stepped on the gas pedal and quickly changed gears. The broken divine dragon Little Fukong seemed to have exploded as it rushed forward with a hum. Even if it was a sports car with a performance 10 times better than this, it would probably be scrapped. Anyway, this car was broken. Su Yun didn't care. He used an unconventional method to drive this broken Fukong to 150 kilometers per hour. Originally, Jin Biao thought that he could easily escape. However, the divine dragon Little Fukong actually roared and chased after him. A butt full of white smoke Before Jin Biao could react, Su Yun's divine dragon Little Fukong was already side by side with Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz S350. Without any hesitation, Su Yun suddenly crashed into Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz. Clang! The two cars collided and sparks flew. Su Yun used all his strength to control the shaking steering wheel to maintain the stability of the car. Jin Biao was so scared that his hands tightly grasped the steering wheel and tried to escape again. Drivers who had driven before knew that although this type of luxury car had good performance, after being hit, it would be slow to accelerate. The acceleration of the car would definitely not be as fast as it was at the beginning. After all, it wasn't a sports car. Su Yun saw that Jin Biao still wanted to escape. He didn't say anything and crashed into him again. Clang! Both cars swayed a few times, but they were still moving forward at high speed. Damn, Su Yun didn't understand. That Mercedes-Benz had 8 airbags, right? After being hit, it didn't eject. This wasn't a small domestic brand car. There shouldn't be a problem with its safety performance, right? Su Yun wanted to hit the Mercedes-Benz until the airbags ejected. That way, Jin Biao wouldn't be able to continue to escape. But things were very coincidental. Once, Jin Biao was drunk and had a rear-end collision. He was directly shocked by the burst airbag. After that, he made up his mind and removed all the airbags on this Mercedes-Benz. Jin Biao was very happy. He didn't expect that his decision would help him at this critical moment. If the airbags were ejected from the collision, he would definitely die here. The two speeding cars on the highway scared the other cars into the slow lane. No one dared to provoke these people who dared to drive with their lives on the line. When the car's speed reached 160 kilometers per hour, Jin Biao really didn't dare to accelerate anymore. He usually had a driver and rarely drove himself. His driving skills were actually very average. Being able to drive at this speed was already enough to make him panic. No matter how good the speed reduction glass was, it couldn't reduce the panic in his heart. There was only a difference of 10 kilometers per hour, so it wasn't easy for Jin Biao to widen the gap between him and Su Yun. Su Yun had already done his best. If this broken car was hit again, it would probably be scrapped on the spot. He could only use the highest speed to try not to be left behind. Fortunately, Jin Biao wasn't brave enough to drive. When he tried to shake off Su Yun a few times, he would be caught by Su Yun because he was too timid to brake. The two cars drove for 30 kilometers in one breath and directly reached the boundary of Tuoshan District from the boundary of Wenhui District. Turning at the intersection ahead, they entered Tuoshan District. Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz, which was almost completely scratched, finally returned to his own territory in Tuoshan District. However, he still couldn't breathe a sigh of relief because Su Yun's broken Citroën was still following him closely. Jin Biao, who was completely driven crazy, didn't even care about the number of cars passing by at the intersection. He directly turned left and ran the red light. The two cars that passed by him made him break out in a cold sweat. There were too many cars at this intersection. There were still 5 or 6 seconds of red light left. Su Yun had no choice but to step on the brake. However, when he stepped on the brake, the Citroën's engine compartment went silent with a bang. It was as if a 300 kilograms fatty squatted on top of his head and let out a muffled fart. Su Yun and the driver's seat shook together. F***ck. The engine turned off. Su Yun cursed and quickly turned the key to start the engine. Click, 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 click. Click, 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 click. It's over. This car is considered to be scrapped. Su Yun looked up again and saw that Jin Biao's black Mercedes-Benz was about to disappear from his sight. He had already chased Jin Biao to this point. If he let Jin Biao escape, everything would be in vain. He didn't hesitate to kick open the door and get out of the car. He directly rushed to the sidewalk. More than a dozen bicyclists on the sidewalk were shocked. "Beauty, let me borrow your bike." Su Yun didn't care whether the other party was willing or not. He forcibly snatched the bike from the hands of a girl. "Come back to the Wenhui district and find me. I will definitely return it to you." Hey, hey, this is robbery. Bastard, stop. Su Yun ignored the girl's tender reprimand from behind. He rode her bicycle and rushed out. His behavior completely angered the other bicyclists in the girls' team. Everyone was suddenly in high spirits. Chase, the captain ordered. More than a dozen people rushed through the green light like madmen. Chapter 66. The team leader had learned something new. He had been riding bicycles since 10 years ago and was quite famous in the cycling world. He had participated in a few national competitions. Although he didn't win any prizes, he had seen many masters. However, in the face of this car thief, he swore that if the experts he had seen before were to compete with this person, they would definitely be left behind by this person by several streets. Based on the speed he had seen just now, it was as if this place was a downhill race in the Tour de France. Suddenly, a 60 km/h speed limit sign appeared in front of the team leader's eyes. He was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. The bike just now was faster than a 60 km/h car. Damn, was that guy even human? Jin Biao was in a good mood after seeing the Shenlong Fukong's cylinder burst. He sneered in his heart and couldn't help but hum a tune. He didn't care if Zhao Sanlai was caught or if Xia Lei and Lu Huazi could escape. At least he could think of a way to get them out of here. Jin Biao had already made up his mind. Tomorrow, he would find someone to take the blame and buy a plane ticket to another province to hide for a few days. When he returned, he would still be the boss of Hadong City. He would still be able to do whatever he wanted. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, 3 knocks came from the car window. Jin Biao's eyes widened. His car was still moving. Did he see a ghost? He turned his head to look out of the window. A person was actually glaring at him. Su Yun grabbed the rearview mirror of Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz with one hand and his bicycle with the other. He glared at Jin Biao and scolded, "Run my ass. I can't even bend my legs from pedaling." Even the most powerful people would be scared out of their wits. Jin Biao's action had completely scared Su Yun out of his wits. Jin Biao made up his mind. Since you're so aggressive, don't blame me for being ruthless. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Su Yun with a car. As Jin Biao thought about it, he suddenly turned the steering wheel and squeezed towards Su Yun. Su Yun was shocked, but he reacted quickly. He suddenly abandoned his bicycle and jumped on top of Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz. The bicycle fell to the ground and was crushed by Jin Biao's Mercedes-Benz. It was completely destroyed. The people in the other cars on the road were all shocked. It was really shocking. If this matter was spread out, there would definitely be no one who would believe it. Riding a bicycle all the way to catch up with a Mercedes-Benz, the Mercedes-Benz desperately crashed into it. At the critical moment, that person was still able to abandon the bike and jump onto the roof of the car. Everyone exclaimed. This was even more exciting than The Fast and the Furious. Was this a sci-fi movie? The Flash? Iron Man? F***CK? Could it be the domestic version of Iron Eggman? Su Yun hugged the roof of the car tightly. He was furious. F***CK? You want to kill me? You're still not good enough. Su Yun suddenly raised his fist and smashed it on the car's skylight with a loud bang. His huge fist was infused with a surge of internal energy and directly shattered the skylight glass. Before Jin Biao could react, countless pieces of glass fell into the car like hail. Su Yun tore through the sunroof and got into the car. He sat on the passenger seat. Jin Biao's courage, which was about to be scared to death, was once again raised to his throat. He was so shocked that he couldn't even make a sound. You want to kill me? You're still too inexperienced. Su Yun didn't care about Jin Biao's speed of over 100 miles per hour. He directly smashed his fist on Jin Biao's face, causing blood to flow out. Jin Biao cried out. His hands were in disarray. The other cars on the road slowed down and even stopped to avoid him. Jin Biao's black Mercedes-Benz crazily crashed into the guardrail on the left. It was then bounced back and crashed into the guardrail on the right. The interior of the car was also shaking, but Su Yun didn't stop punching. He followed up with another heavy punch on Jin Biao's face. This punch was enough to make Jin Biao's face a bloody mess. Jin Biao, who was panicking and in pain, stepped on the accelerator even harder. The car suddenly crashed into the rear of a Honda Accord that was trying to overtake and leave the danger zone. The car's engine was turned off with a muffled sound. The huge inertia caused the two people in the car to crash out of the car window. Fortunately, Su Yun was already prepared to defend himself. He quickly wrapped his arms around himself and curled his legs to protect his body before using his back to slam into the windshield. After his body flew out, Su Yun quickly shrank his body and crashed into the Honda Accord, so he didn't suffer any injuries. Jin Biao was in a worse state. He was dizzy from the fall. He laid on the ground with a face full of blood. His heavy breathing only proved that he wasn't dead yet. The blood on his face was, of course, caused by Su Yun's punches. The broken car window didn't have any edges, so it wouldn't hurt anyone. The driver of the Accord jumped out of the car in a rage. Just as he was about to scold, "How can an idiot drive like this?" he was dumbfounded. The person lying on the ground was actually the famous boss, Jin Biao. The Accord's driver immediately shut his mouth. He was unlucky to have encountered a triad seeking revenge. He quickly got into the car and drove away. Su Yun stood up and looked at the half-dead Jin Biao on the ground. He was furious. He kicked him fiercely and said, "Why don't you continue to run? Get up." The fat Jin Biao was kicked. He screamed like a pig being slaughtered. What a heavy kick, it was like being whipped. There were more and more onlookers on the road. Many cars didn't dare to continue driving. The miserable fat man lying on the ground was actually the boss of Dong Dong, Jin Biao. Everyone couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. More and more people cast their curious and surprised gazes on Su Yun. The impact this person had on them was too great. Just as the police cars were about to return to the police station, they saw this scene. 4 police officers immediately rushed in. "What's going on?" An older police officer shouted angrily. When he lowered his head and saw Jin Biao on the ground, he was stunned. The other 3 younger police officers were so shocked that they were speechless. Su Yun was a little unhappy when he saw the police. He knew that there was trouble and wanted to escape. However, it was too late. Several police officers surrounded him. "Take him away." The middle-aged policeman stared. A young policeman took out handcuffs and walked directly to Su Yun. Without saying anything, he twisted Su Yun's hands behind his back and locked them. Su Yun didn't want to argue. This matter couldn't be explained clearly in a short time. Anyway, Qin Wan-er was there. He didn't worry that he would suffer in the police station. Su Yun was taken to the police car. The middle-aged policeman asked the other 2 to lift Jin Biao. Jin Biao, who had recovered, coughed and spat out blood. He stared at the policeman beside him. Su Yun didn't see any fear on Jin Biao's face. Instead, he saw a smile on his face. "I'm injured. I want to go to the hospital." Jin Biao said coldly, "Do you want me to call Director Qi now?" In Wenhui District, Jin Biao was afraid of being arrested. However, in Tuoshan District, he wasn't afraid. The director of Tuoshan District Police Station, Qi Yishan, was the child of his wife's cousin. According to seniority, he had to call him uncle. Everyone in Tuoshan District Police Station knew about this. "Yes, you must go to the hospital." The middle-aged policeman smiled. "I'll call Director Qi now and tell him the situation." The middle-aged policeman dialed the phone. When the phone was connected, Jin Biao grabbed the phone rudely. "Yishan, I'm your uncle. I got into some trouble." In the police car, Su Yun's eyes flashed coldly. If he didn't care about Qin Wan-er's identity, he would have already turned against these policemen. Tuoshan District was obviously not as simple as Su Yun thought. Su Yun, who had arrested Jin Biao, was taken to the police station. Jin Biao, who should have been arrested, was escorted to the hospital by the middle-aged policeman. After the 3 tigers of Nanqing drove Qin Wan-er, Chong, and Xiao Fei out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, they didn't see a single car. They didn't dare to think that Jin Biao and Su Yun would drive so fast. Damn, he must have run to Tuoshan district. Lu Feng cursed and hit the steering wheel angrily. Qin Wan ordered, then go to Tuoshan district. Although Lu Feng wasn't sure, after all, Tuoshan district wasn't his territory. However, he didn't dare to disobey Qin Wan-er's order. He could only follow the leader's instructions and go on the highway. Dan Hongning and Kong Zhong looked at the route and knew that they were going directly to other people's territory. The two swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Follow them. Even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, they had to go. They couldn't let Brother Yun fight alone. The three cars went on the highway and chased step by step. Qin Wan-er believed in her intuition and believed that Su Yun would never let Jin Biao go. Since Su Yun didn't give up, she, as a policewoman, certainly couldn't give up. Qin Wan-er took the three people to the accident scene with her keen intuition. Jin Biao's car hadn't been towed away. Hello, I'm a policewoman. I want to ask if you know where the people in the car went? Qin Wan-er took out her ID and showed it to a towing traffic policeman. Seeing that Qin Wan-er was a beautiful woman, the traffic policeman was happy to answer, "Hello, we didn't see the details. There were 2 people in the accident. The car owner was injured and went to the hospital. The other young man seemed to be a troublemaker and has been taken away by the police." Qin Wan-er frowned. The young man they were talking about must be Su Yun. However, how did Su Yun become a troublemaker? Officer Qin. Dan Hongning was a little worried. You must know the director of the Tuoshan District Police Station. Qin Wan-er nodded. Qi Yishan? I saw him at a meeting in the bureau. Qi Yishan's mother and Wang Qing are cousins. He seems to call Jin Biao uncle. Dan Hongning took a deep breath and looked a little worried. Kong Zhong couldn't laugh for a while and said with a serious face, "Then Brother Yun is—" "Oh no, Brother Yun must be in trouble." Lu Feng turned and looked at Qin Wan-er. "Officer Qin, what should we do?" Qin Wan-er made a prompt decision. Of course, go to the Tuoshan District Police Station and ask for him. In fact, Qin Wan-er was very clear that Su Yun wouldn't be taken advantage of. He was so honest and let the police take him away because he didn't want to get her into trouble because of her identity. Otherwise, with Su Yun's character, how could he let them take him away? Chapter 67. Although Su Yun caught Jin Biao at the last moment, this place was not the Wenhui district. Qin Wan-er was not in the police station here. Jin Biao was escorted to the hospital, and Su Yun was taken to the police station. It was already past 9 o'clock in the evening. There were 3 people on duty in the police station. They looked young, in their early 20s. They were probably temporary policemen who had signed short-term contracts. The 2 policemen who brought Su Yun back directly threw Su Yun into the interrogation room and scolded, "Wait first." Su Yun did not stand on ceremony. He swaggered to the chair and sat down, but his ears did not miss any sounds outside. The eunuch who had brought Su Yun back with a sharp voice was the first to speak. "This brat is crazy enough. He directly beat up our uncle on the street. That Mercedes-Benz was even damaged by this brat. F***CK, no way? Where did this kid come from?" Another voice asked. Su Yun had not heard this voice before. It might be one of the 3 people on duty in the station. Who knows? Anyway, he is dead. He dared to touch Jin Biao in our Tuochuo Mountain district. He is really tired of living. The eunuch said again, "Who doesn't want to talk?" Humph. Suddenly, the phone in the station rang. The eunuch picked up the phone absent-mindedly. "Who is it?" As soon as he heard the response, the eunuch's expression immediately became serious. "Hello, Station Chi. What are your arrangements?" Don't worry, I promise to do this well." Good. Goodbye, Station Chi." After hanging up the phone, the eunuch whistled and said to the others, "Brothers, Director Chi said that this kid is a tough nut to crack. He dared to steal a car on the road. We have to interrogate him properly. The few of them smiled. One of them understood the essence of it and raised his eyebrows. It seems that the missing cruise in Huiquan Garden a few days ago was also done by this guy, right? Not only the car in Huiquan community, but also the BMW in the Blue Mountain Bay Villa district. The eunuch laughed and waved to the few people. Brothers, let's get to work. The 5 of them walked into the interrogation room together. The tallest one turned off the surveillance camera directly. Su Yun sat on the chair with his hands behind his back and looked at them with a smile. It seemed that these people, other than the eunuch's voice, were not official police officers. To put it bluntly, they were temporarily hired to help. They were not authorized, and their salary was only 700 to 800 yuan. Do you want to confess on your own accord or do you want to do something else? The eunuch purposely glanced at the surveillance camera and said to Su Yun, Our surveillance cameras will break down from time to time. So we will record everything you say and do on paper. The thinnest of the 5 sat down at the interrogation table and took out a pen and a record book. He looked up at Su Yun and said, All right, you can speak now. Where's Jin Biao? Su Yun didn't care about the topic of these people and directly asked. The few of them were startled. This brat was a thorn in their side. There wasn't even the slightest trace of fear on her face. However, the eunuch's voice soon understood. Since he dared to go against Jin Biao on the street, he was definitely not afraid of death. Of course, he was not easy to tame. However, he was not afraid. After all, Su Yun was handcuffed. No matter how good he was at fighting, he was just a piece of trash when his hands were cuffed behind his back. The tall police officer took out a rubber roller from nowhere and raised it with a sneer. Wait, give him a chance. The eunuch's voice waved his hand and said to the tall police officer. The tall police officer nodded. The man with the crew cut next to him took out a baton and threw it out. He said to the tall police officer, How many times have I told you? It doesn't hurt when you hit people with that thing. The tall police officer said disapprovingly, But I can't see any injuries with this thing. The crew cut snorted. We can just say that he attacked the police and wanted to escape. Anyway, there is no surveillance camera to prove anything. That's true. The tall police officer suddenly realized. The eunuch's voice saw that the 2 of them had said what they wanted to say. He waved his hand and said, Close the door. Su Yun couldn't help but feel a little amused as he watched them put on an act. If this was his first time in the police station, he would probably be scared stiff by their conversation. Intimidation and threats were the first method these people used to interrogate tough people. The eunuch's voice saw that the door of the interrogation room was closed and turned on the recording. He said to Su Yun, I have given you a chance. I hope you will cooperate. Tell me, why did you rob a car on the road? Su Yun didn't even look at that person and said disdainfully, Are you guys trying to frame me and convict me? The eunuch's voice was furious. He turned off the recording and glared at Su Yun. Don't think that I don't know that you are a hooligan from Wenhui district. Let me tell you, this is Tuoshan district, not your Wenhui district. You still want to show off here? Then let me tell you, there is no way. What can you do? Su Yun smiled faintly. If you don't want to talk, I naturally have a way to make you talk. The eunuch's voice glared and said to the other 3, If we don't show him something, he might not know what we police do. The tall police officer followed the order and sent a kick forward. His large leather shoe swept forward with a strong gust of wind. Su Yun suddenly lifted the 3 supporting points of the chair, leaving only one chair leg on the ground. He gently turned it and easily avoided the tall police officer's kick. How could the other police officer not be angry when he saw this? He threw a punch at Su Yun. Su Yun did not get up and returned the chair leg to its original position. The eunuch's voice and the recorder were dumbfounded. They did not even see how this person did it. The crew-cut police officer steeled his heart and suddenly raised the baton in his hand, smashing it down on Su Yun's head. Since there were no cameras, he was not afraid of anything. However, the pure steel baton stopped before it landed on Su Yun's head. Su Yun raised his left hand and easily caught the baton that came crashing down like a bolt of lightning. Moreover, his face was full of disdain for the few of them. This kind of feeling was disdain. The crew-cut police officer tried to pull the baton back, but he could not pull it out at all. In anger, he grabbed the weapon with both hands and tried to take it back. The eunuch's voice was completely dumbfounded. He had handcuffed Su-yun's hands personally. How could it be unlocked inexplicably? Su-yun suddenly released the steel end of the baton in his hand. The crew-cut police officer used all his strength to take 2 steps back and hit his back on the wall. He was suddenly furious. F***CK. With a curse, the crew-cut police officer swung the baton again. How could a bad-tempered man like him endure such a contemptuous look from the person in front of him? Su-yun directly threw the handcuffs in his hand at the crew-cut police officer. The crew-cut police officer screamed and threw the baton in his hand. He held his wrist and squatted on the ground in pain. Padash. The eunuch's voice angrily slammed the table and shouted, "You dare to attack a police officer? Do you know what crime this is?" Su-yun sneered and pointed at the camera. "There is no evidence. Are you going to bite me? Damn it." The eunuch's voice clenched his fist. "This bastard actually wants to play this game with me. Fine, I will let him see who is more ruthless. Brothers, this kid attacked a police officer. Today, we will beat him half to death. It is not a violation of the law." The eunuch's voice sneered. "Do it. I will take responsibility if anything happens." Once they heard the official police officer's words, they did not care about anything else. They raised the weapons in their hands and greeted Su-yun. Su-yun's feet didn't even move an inch. He only dodged to the left and right a few times and was completely unharmed. Before they could attack again, Su-yun's seemingly weak fist had already hit their abdomens. The few policemen who wanted to force a confession from him held their abdomens and squatted on the ground. They looked like they were in great pain. Especially the eunuch's voice. He was in so much pain that his forehead was full of sweat. Suddenly, the door of the interrogation room was pushed open. The middle-aged policeman that Su-yun had seen before appeared. Deputy Chief Tion. This person attacked a police officer. The eunuch's voice said painfully. The middle-aged policeman frowned but did not speak. Chin Won-er appeared behind him. She saw that it was indeed Su-yun. She thought to herself, why did this guy not hold back and attack? "Yes, this is my informant," Chin Won-er said to the middle-aged policeman. "Deputy Chief Tion, Su-yun is my informant in the underworld. Chief Chen knows about this. If you don't believe me, you can call him." The middle-aged policeman frowned. This little girl actually used the bureau chief to pressure him, but after all, he was an old fox in the police world. He smiled slightly and said, "I can't make the decision on this matter. Instructor Chin, I think it's better to wait for our director Chi to come." While the two were talking, they heard the sound of a car stopping at the door. Chi Ishan heard that Chin Won-er had come to ask for someone. He was originally going to the hospital to see his uncle, Jin Biao. He directly turned around and rushed back to the station. I was wondering who it was. So it's Beauty Chin. It's already so late. There must be something important for you to come here, right?" Although it was night time, Chi Ishan was still wearing a neat uniform. His police rank was 1 level higher than Chin Won-er's. His official position was also 1 level higher. After Chin Won-er saw Chi Ishan, she smiled politely. "Chief Chi, the person you caught is my informant. I think we might have some misunderstanding, so I hope you can let him go." Chi Ishan was slightly stunned. "Informant? If you don't believe me, you can ask Chief Chen." Chin Won-er said calmly. In fact, there was no such thing. Chin Won-er was also quick-witted. There was no other way. Chi Ishan frowned. He knew that Chin Won-er had made great contributions in the Wenhui district recently. Chief Chen was now very fond of her. Therefore, he would rather believe Chin Won-er's words than not. Since he's Beauty Chin's informant, there must be a misunderstanding. Chi Ishan smiled slightly. Of course I'll let him go. Then, Chi Ishan nodded to the middle-aged policeman. The middle-aged policeman was clearly surprised that Chi Ishan would be so straightforward. However, he still did as he was told. He said to Su Yun in the interrogation room, "You can come out now." The eunuch's voice was filled with pain as he shouted, "Chief Chi, you can't let him go. He attacked the police. He attacked us." Chapter 68. Qin Weina's brain almost exploded from anger. "Bastard Su Yun, you really make me worry. So what if I bear with it?" Assaulting a police officer was not a small crime. If Chi Ishan insisted on this, she would have to ask for help from Chief Chen to get him out. However, this small matter was brought to Chief Chen's attention. Furthermore, this was Tuoshan's territory. Su Yun was in the wrong for assaulting a police officer. Sigh. Qin Weina's mind was in a mess. What should she do? Assaulting a police officer? Su Yun was stunned. He said innocently, "I didn't touch you, okay? Aren't you accusing me wrongly? Why don't we look at the surveillance footage?" Seeing Su Yun's confident look, Qin Weiner suddenly saw the light again. So those people were talking nonsense. She whispered to Su Yun, "You really didn't do anything, right?" Su Yun chuckled and whispered in her ear, "Just one punch per person." Ah! Qin Weiner almost fainted on the spot. One punch was enough. Clearly, Chi Ishan didn't have any expression when he heard about the surveillance footage. However, the eunuch who walked out of the interrogation room while holding his stomach was unhappy. "Chief Chi, the surveillance footage is broken." Phew. Qin Weiner let out a sigh of relief. She knew that these people must have wanted to do something to Su Yun, so they turned off the surveillance footage. Haha, now Chi Ishan must be suffering in silence. Since the surveillance footage is broken, there's nothing we can do. Qin Weiner shrugged. "Chief Chi, is the surveillance footage really broken? Do you need me to fix it for you? I know how to fix it." "No need. Thank you for your kindness. My people can fix it themselves. How can I let a guest do such a small thing?" Chi Ishan's face turned ugly. He glared at his subordinates. "You said he hit you. Are there any injuries on his body?" The few people who were beaten seemed to have seen the light. They scrambled to say, "Yes, yes, yes." Qin Weiner's heart sank again. This time, it was over. Of course, she knew a little about the strength of Su Yun's fists. The people who were hit by his fists were either blue or purple. Since Su Yun had admitted to punching each of these people, it was inevitable that there would be evidence left behind. The eunuchs were the first to lift up their clothes. The sharp pain in their stomachs made them absolutely certain that there would be a large area of bruises. However, what surprised everyone was that there was not even a hint of redness on their white and clean stomachs, let alone any bruises. The few of them were dumbfounded. That brat was so ruthless that he almost made them vomit out their dinner, but he didn't even leave a mark. Chi Ishan's expression became even uglier. These bastards had really embarrassed him. Qin Weiner finally let out a sigh of relief. Although she had her doubts, she still said to Chi Ishan calmly, "Director Chi, it seems that your people wrongly accused my informant. That's not good. Didn't Chief Chen say that although we're not in the same district, we're still family? Don't make things difficult for my informant, okay?" Chi Ishan forced out a smile. "Great beauty Qin, what are you saying? How could I make things difficult for your informant? Hee, since the matter is clear, then you can leave. We have a meeting tonight, so please forgive us if we don't receive you well." "Then I'll thank you, Director Chi." Qin Weiner smiled slightly. Su Yun didn't buy it. He went straight to the point. "Where's your uncle?" "What?" Chi Ishan's face darkened. "Friend, I don't understand what you're saying. I said, where's your uncle, Jin Biao?" Su Yun didn't back down at all. Chi Ishan's face turned cold. "Friend, our Tuoshan District Police Station will naturally take care of our own matters. You don't have to worry about this, right? Su Yun didn't have any intention of giving up. But he caused trouble in the Wenhui district. His men even burned down a shop in the Hongnan district. Do you know about these matters? Qi Yishan saw that Su Yun didn't know how to appreciate his kindness and became angry. I don't care about that, and I can't be bothered to care. But today, Jin Biao got into an accident in my district. I have to take care of this matter. No one else has the right to interfere. Seeing that Su Yun still wanted to say something, Qin Wan stopped him. Su Yun didn't understand, but she understood the rules of the police world. Su Yun, this is Director Qi's place. Of course, Director Qi will take care of this matter. Understood. Su Yun smiled and didn't say anything else. The two left the police station one after the other. The 3 cars of the southern city's 3 tigers were waiting at the entrance. When they saw Qin Wan bring Su Yun out, they finally let out a sigh of relief. Now, they could go home with peace of mind. After the 2 of them left, Qi Yishan flew into a rage. Do I want you bastards to eat for free? You can't even interrogate one person, and you even made up an excuse that he attacked the police. You should have made up a better story. It's fine if I injure myself a little. You didn't even have a scar. How dare you accuse him of attacking the police? The eunuch's throat was bleeding from the scolding, and his lower abdomen was still hurting. Director Qi, we're telling the truth. He really hit us. Then what about the wound? Qi Yishan heard that he was still being stubborn. He went forward and tore open his clothes. Let me see. Halfway through his words, Qi Yishan's voice suddenly stopped. A fist-sized bruise on the eunuch's throat and abdomen could be seen. The others were also dumbfounded. They all tore open their own clothes. It wasn't a big deal. Just a moment ago, they were all soft and tender. Now, they all had bruises on their abdomens. This time, they were all stunned. What the hell was going on? This was strange. Qi Yishan was also confused. Wasn't there no wound? Why was it now? It was simply unbelievable. Was that guy a magician? Director Qi, we now have evidence that he attacked the police. The eunuch pointed at his abdomen and said angrily. Qi Yishan glared at him. You have evidence now? What did you do just now? I personally let him go. Then, you went back on your words and captured him to accuse him of attacking the police? Humph, can't this wound be caused by us? Don't tell me he won't bite us back. There's no video or evidence. Everything is bullshit. Yes. The eunuch quickly lowered his head and said, from now on, the interrogations will be F*King on camera. Qi Yishan was so angry that his whole body trembled. You abused the power I gave you? You shot yourself in the foot. Serves you right. After Su Yun and the rest returned to the Wenhui district, they went their separate ways. Dan Hongning drove Su Yun and Qin Weiner back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Kong Zhong sent Chong and Xiao Fei back to the slums. Lu Feng said goodbye and left first. He wanted to find that bastard in the infantry and interrogate him. He would never forgive him for betraying his brothers. When Su Yun and Qin Weiner returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, it was already midnight. You're back. Cho Yun had been waiting for them. Those people have been taken away. Qin Weiner nodded. I was the one who called the station. Did anyone escape? Su Yun smiled slightly. You underestimate Cho Yen too much. With her here, of course there won't be any fish that escapes the net. Cho Yun was still cold and did not continue the topic. She got up and walked to the stairs. Sister Qing Shuang and Guagua are asleep. You guys should rest early too. Well, you should rest early too. Su Yun nodded to Cho Yun, then poured 2 glasses of water and handed one to Qin Weiner. Are you satisfied with what happened today? Qin Weiner rolled her eyes at Su Yun. Of course not. I also heard that Jin Biao and Qi Yishan have a relationship. But every industry has its own rules. They can't cross the border to arrest people unless they can't catch them. Since Jin Biao was arrested by the police station under Tuoshan's jurisdiction, if I still want him, it will be a slap in their face. Even if this matter is brought to the municipal bureau, I will be the one who is in the wrong. Although Su Yun was a little unhappy, it wasn't to the extent that he would do anything because of this small matter. Then we've wasted our time today. As long as Jin Biao finds someone to take the blame, you police officers who are particular about evidence won't be able to do anything to him. Besides, he still has a nephew to back him up. I won't let him go so easily. Qin Weiner clenched her fists and looked righteous. Then she seemed to think of something and asked, "Since you admit that you hit them, why are they not injured at all?" Su Yun raised his hand and looked at his fist. Qin Weiner could not understand his smile. "I don't know. Maybe they have thick skin and can take a beating." Qin Weiner looked suspicious. "Do you think I will believe you?" "It's up to you to believe it or not." Su Yun yawned. "I am sleepy." "Aren't you sleepy?" Qin Wan raised her head and looked at her watch. It was already so late. She couldn't help but stretch her tired arms and stretch her willowy waist. Her breasts were even more prominent. "Nonsense, who isn't sleepy? I'm exhausted. What kind of weekend is this? I didn't rest for 18 hours. Sleep together? Hee hee." Su Yun narrowed his eyes and peeked at Qin Wan-er's voluptuous breasts. He spoke in a frivolous manner. "Do you want to die?" Qin Weiner's right eyebrow trembled. She looked murderous and her eyes were cold. Su Yun quickly ran away. "You think too much. I am talking about the time." "Su Yun, I will kill you." "Sure. Be quiet. Guagua is asleep." "Bastard, don't use Guagua as a shield." After escaping from Qin Weiner's evil hands, Su Yun took a simple shower and sat cross-legged on the bed. These days, he felt that there were some small changes in his state of mind. According to his previous experience, this was the feeling of breaking through. When the bottleneck loosened, it would be the day he would break through. Although this was a good sign, there was also a hidden omen. This was because his master had once told Su Yun that being able to sense one's state of mind in advance was a mixed blessing. Knowing in advance that one was about to break through would allow one to prepare for the breakthrough. However, this perception could also be telling one that they had reached the end, which meant that they would never be able to break through again. The most important thing was that people who were suppressed by their inner demons were likely to have reached the end of their state of mind training. Phew. Su Yun took a deep breath. If this meant that he could no longer break through, then he would never be able to break through the bottleneck of a first-class master. He would never be able to step into the ranks of a super master. F***CK, then won't I be like this for the rest of my life? Su Yun could not help but curse. His words made those who could not break through the bottleneck of a second-class master feel embarrassed. Chapter 69. After meditating for a while, Su Yun finally calmed down. It seemed that he had to find a way to break through the devil in his heart. Otherwise, he could only be a dabbler in martial arts for the rest of his life. Alas, thinking of this, Su Yun felt a little regretful. He was such a talented young man. His master once said that his future was limitless. Every brother around him was envious of his natural talent. There were not many people who could become a first-class master at the age of 18. Su Yun was one of them. For several years, everyone had been expecting Su Yun to become the first person in the world to become a super master before the age of 25. However, no one had expected that he would be suppressed by the devil in his heart because of Yin Long's tragic death. He had not made any progress in his martial arts for a whole year. It was only one step away. Although Su Yun still looked frivolous on the surface, in his heart, he wanted to get rid of the devil in his heart more than anyone else. This was also the reason why Su Yun had left the place. The huge pressure had forced him to choose to withdraw. Because of the slight change in his state of mind, Su Yun did not sleep well that night. At night, he heard Cho Yun go in and out of the medicinal cuisine restaurant 3 times. He could see that she was really worried about the S-level wanted criminal that Qin Wan had mentioned. After getting up early in the morning, everyone went to work. Sunday was a beautiful day for the workers who had a weekend off. However, for Su Yun and the others, it was much busier. Because there were people who came to eat at 10 o'clock, they got up late and had breakfast and lunch together. Except for Qin Wan, who had left early in the morning, the others were not idle in the restaurant. The restaurant in the Hongnan district was forced to close. Chong and Xiao Fei also went to the restaurant here to stay. Qin Wan was originally resting. However, because so many people from Jin Biao in the Eastern District had been arrested yesterday, she was worried and rushed to the police station early in the morning. However, it was too late when she arrived. Xiao Wu told her that those people were bailed out last night. Moreover, Director Lu had informed them, so they did not dare to ask more. Hearing this, Qin Wan was about to explode. Lu Guangming released all of them? Xiao Wu was shocked by Qin Wan-er's reaction. She quickly gestured for her to keep quiet. Sister Qin, can you lower your voice? You are really my sister. Inspector Lu came early this morning and is upstairs. Aren't you afraid that he will hear you? So what if I heard? I still need to ask him about it. Qin Wan-er could tolerate it in the police station in Tuoshan district yesterday, but she could not tolerate it in her own district. After she finished speaking, she turned around and went upstairs to find Lu Guangming. Little Five was dumbfounded. Wasn't Sister Qin's temper a little too big? He actually went to argue with Inspector Lu. After Qin Wan went upstairs, she directly pushed open Lu Guangming's office without knocking on the door. Lu Guangming was on the phone. Seeing Qin Wan-er's angry face, he couldn't help but be startled. He said into the phone, I have something to do. I'll talk to you later. That's all for now. As soon as Lu Guangming hung up the phone, Qin Wan-er directly asked, Inspector Lu, why did you release all the people you arrested yesterday? Little Qin, I was just about to talk to you about this. Lu Guangming's face was obviously a little embarrassed. After all, he was the head of this police station. Qin Wan-er talking to him like this was more or less disrespectful to him. Qin Wan-er's tone did not soften at all. I just want to know why you released them. Is it not a crime to stir up trouble? You released the people you arrested yesterday. What kind of background do they have to make you do this? Lu Guangming also put on a serious face. Qin Wan-er, I am the inspector in this station. I have the right to do anything. It is not your turn to tell me what to do. So what? Can the inspector bend the law for personal gain? Qin Wan-er used the word a little too seriously. Bang! Lu Guangming angrily slammed the table and stood up. Qin Wan-er, do you think that you can do whatever you want just because you made a few contributions? I am not afraid to tell you that yesterday's incident was reported to me by Inspector Qi in Tuoshan district. It was just a small matter. I was just doing him a favor. It is not that I didn't ask Xiao Wu and the others. These people did not affect the shop at all. We have no evidence to arrest them. On the contrary, the staff of the shop beat them up. They have already taken a step back by not suing the person who beat them up. Is this how the society is now? Qin Wan-er sneered. As long as you have some connections, you can bite back? Lu Guangming snorted. Qin Wan-er, I haven't asked you yet. Why did you go to the police station in Tuoshan district yesterday? Also, how come I didn't know that you had an informant? Do you think you are acting in a Hong Kong police movie? This is Hua Xia. Do you know that the informant you want attacked a police officer? I have already covered up the matter for you. What else do you want? Qin Wan-er did not take it seriously. She said, My informant is under my direct command. The fewer people who know, the better. Also, they said that my people beat people up. Do you believe them? Where is the evidence? Lu Guangming took out his phone and showed her an MMS message. He threw it directly on the table. This is the evidence. Qin Wan glanced at it and was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. The people in the picture were indeed the ones from yesterday. Each of them had a fist-sized bruise on their abdomen. However, There was no bruise yesterday. How did Su Yun do it? You have nothing to say now? Lu Guangming saw that Qin Wan-er's emotions had calmed down a bit. He said, Little Qin, you are still young. You have to learn to be tactful in everything you do. If you save face for others, they will also save face for you in the future. Qin Wan-er had already understood what Lu Guangming meant. Director Lu, I understand. That is to say, everyone is turning a blind eye to the fact that Qi Yishan colluded with the head of the underworld in Tuoshan district? Lu Guangming did not deny it, but he did not nod. Little Qin, I advise you not to meddle in the business of the neighboring district. You should pay more attention to the business of the Wenhui district. Recently, there is a rumor about a big sister of the underworld. Have you heard about it? Qin Wan-er knew who the big sister of the underworld was. She said, If I know who it is, I will not let him go. But now I have to go to the Municipal Public Security Bureau and ask Director Chen. Qi Yishan is an accomplice to a villain. He does not deserve to be the director of Tuoshan district. You want to sue Director Chen? Lu Guangming thought that he had misheard. Qin Wan-er walked out of Lu Guangming's office without looking back. Lu Guangming came to his senses after a long time, but he did not stop Qin Wan-er. In fact, it was not a bad thing for him. After all, Qi Yishan was also his opponent when he entered the city bureau. If Qi Yishan had the reputation of colluding with the underworld, then compared to his reputation of eliminating evil, the difference would be even greater. When that time came, it would be obvious who would become the deputy bureau chief. Qin Wan-er had made a name for herself in the Hadong Municipal Public Security Bureau because of several meritorious deeds. Many people saw her coming and greeted her with a smile to show their friendliness. After all, everyone was sure that she would be transferred to be a leader because of her outstanding work. Qin Wan-er responded with a smile. Xiao Qin, why are you here? The head of the legal department smiled when he saw Qin Wan-er. Qin Wan-er obviously could not remember so many people's names. She only knew that he was the head of the legal department. Hello, leader. I have something to report to Director Chen. Today? Today is Sunday. The head of the legal department was stunned. Director Chen is off today. Qin Wan-er suddenly realized that she was just anxious and forgot about the weekend. She could only forget about it. She could only wait until the next day to say, I'm sorry, I forgot. Haha, then I won't bother you guys anymore. I'll leave first. Don't you want to stay? The head of the legal department asked politely. Thank you, but no. Goodbye. Qin Wan-er turned and left quickly. She had just walked out of the office when a police car stopped in front of her. The door opened and Chen Wei got out of the car. He was stunned when he saw Qin Wan-er. Xiao Qin? Why are you here? Qin Wan-er was happy. What a coincidence. Before Qin Wan-er could say anything, Chen Wei spoke first. I have something to tell you. Come to my office. I want to show you something. Tell me. Qin Wan-er did not understand. Why was Director Chen looking for her? Did a director have to report to her? Well, Qin Wan-er thought that she was too naive. Chen Wei was indeed a low-key person. Although Hadong City was not big, it was at least a prefecture-level city. As the director of the Public Security Bureau, his rank was not low. However, the car he was in was an old model Passat. Compared to those directors who dared to buy cars worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of yuan, Chen Wei was definitely a good leader who followed the law. What are you thinking about? Let's go. Chen Wei saw that Qin Wan-er was in a daze, so he called her again. Qin Wan-er quickly nodded and followed him. She thought that if all the directors in the country were like Director Chen, the public security in Huaxia would be improved by a few levels. Soon, Qin Wan-er and Chen Wei arrived at the office. Chen Wei made a phone call. In less than a minute, a fax was sent from the fax machine. It was a photo with a few lines of words below it. Chen Wei took out the fax and handed it to Qin Wan-er. In the photo was a man in his 30s. He looked a little ugly, but his eyes were vicious. There was a clear line of words below the photo. Hao Kai, male, 30 years old, Han nationality, registered address unknown, height 1.75 meters, medium build, square face, beard, high cheekbones, wide nose, sunken eyes, thick lips, dark red hair. He is a national S-level wanted criminal. The Public Security Bureau will reward citizens who provide accurate information with 500,000 yuan. Citizens who find clues to report, please call 110 police or report to the local Public Security Bureau. Those who do not report, cover up or harbor the criminal will be prosecuted according to the law. Qin Wan was stunned after reading it. The S-level wanted criminal who might enter Hadong City was this person. Chapter 70. Qin Wan looked at the warrant for a long time and said, "Director Chen, is this what you want to tell me?" "Yes." Chen Wei nodded and smiled at Qin Wan. "Qin, do you know why I want to tell you this?" Looking at Chen Wei's serious expression, Qin Wan was a little confused. Since the arrest warrant has been issued, and everyone has the right to report, then all the police officers should know about this. "Chief Chen, you told me in advance because you want me to go back to the station and inform everyone, right?" Chen Wei smiled faintly. "I've already informed them on the way here. I'll get Xiao Li to fax over the picture of this wanted criminal. You don't have to worry about this. I'm telling you because there is another reason." Qin Wan frowned. "What reason?" Chen Wei pointed at the sofa and said to Qin Wan, "Have a seat. Take the water yourself. There are paper cups in the kitchen." "No need, Director Chen." Qin Wan sat down. Chen Wei then said, "Do you remember Gong Yu, the A-level wanted criminal you killed on the spot?" Qin Wan nodded. "Yes. Maybe there are some things that I shouldn't say, but I have to say it now. Qin, I have been a police officer for so many years. I have been in all kinds of armed police, special police, and criminal police departments." Chen Wei said seriously, "I can't believe that you can kill a national A-level wanted criminal with your ability." When Qin Wan heard that, she felt a little guilty. Her expression changed slightly. Indeed, if it weren't for Su Yun and Cho Yun that night, she wouldn't have dared to shoot. She wouldn't have had the chance to do so. Chen Wei caught the change in Qin Wan expression. "Haha, that's why I've been wondering if there is someone who is secretly helping you. This is a good thing. I really hope that everyone can help us in times of crisis. After all, some of the suspects are not simple." "Director Chen, I understand what you mean." Qin Wan nodded. "You want me to find someone who can help us, right?" Chen Wei maintained his calm smile. "Yes, if you are willing to help me, I am very happy that you are willing to do so. This Hao Kai is really not an ordinary person. You should remember the prison break on 8/12. This person is too terrifying." Of course, Qin Wan remembered such a big case. The suspect went to Suong City to guard a prison for serious crimes. He helped people escape from prison, killed 2 prison guards, and stole guns. A criminal police officer who had been tracking him suddenly disappeared halfway. Half a year later, he was confirmed dead. In the end, Hao Kai was surrounded by the armed police in a small hotel. When he broke out, he killed 3 special police soldiers with his bare hands. One person had killed 6 people in a short period of time, and all of them were members of the police force. Such a vile case was really rare. In the end, the suspect took the hostage and escaped. After that, it was difficult to find him again. After half a year of investigating this person, they only knew that his name was Hao Kai and that he was a member of a mysterious organization. He didn't know anything else. Hao Kai, who had disappeared, suddenly came into the police's sight again. It was all because of a report by a passenger on a flight from Suong to Hadong. One of the 3 special police officers who died in that major case was a relative of the informant. The informant just said that it looked like the person, but he was not sure. Because he knew that the suspect was very terrifying, he did not dare to say anything on the plane. After a week of confirmation, the police could basically be sure that the person who appeared on the plane was indeed Hao Kai himself. Seeing that Qin Wan did not speak, Chen Wei said again, "I don't know if I am thinking too much, but I always feel that you have a benefactor helping you. Haha, the Fourth Wolf Gang and the Knife and Axe Gang have always been the two most troublesome gangs in Wenhui District. You can get rid of them because of that benefactor, right? Director Chen, don't worry. I will do my duty as a police officer." Qin Wan did not directly admit the existence of Su Yun. "No matter what method I use, as long as I can do something for public security, I will not be stingy, no matter if I have a benefactor helping me or not." Chen Wei was very pleased, but he was also a little worried. "Little Qin, your idea is good, but I have to remind you of something." "Go ahead." Chen Wei's expression was serious. "If you encounter this person, don't confront him directly. He is really not the kind of horror you can imagine. After all, Qin Wan was a person with character. She would not agree to this kind of request so early. Director Chen, if I encounter him, I will use my brain. I will not be stupid enough to confront him directly." "No." Chen Wei refused immediately. Back then, the criminal police officer who was killed because of him was our country's famous model police officer, Comrade Jiang Ji. Even he couldn't escape from Hao Kai's evil hands. You can't take advantage of him at all. Jiang Ji, the champion of the National Police Comprehensive Competition for 2 consecutive years, was so tragically killed. Until now, no one had found his body. Just based on this point, it was clear how dangerous it was to capture Hao Kai. Qin Wan saw that Chen Wei was so serious and nodded seriously. "I understand, Director Chen. If there is nothing else, I will go back first." Chen Wei nodded. "Go. Remember what I said. Don't put yourself in danger." Qin Wan smiled and took the arrest warrant out of the director's office. Her mind was a little confused. It turned out that Director Chen knew that there was someone helping her behind the scenes. He just did not say anything. Now that he wanted help, he had no choice but to say it. Qin Wan called a taxi and went back to the medicinal cuisine restaurant. On the way, she suddenly remembered that she came to the bureau to look for Chen Wei to sue Qi Yishan for colluding with gangs. Because of what Chief Chen had said, she had forgotten about that matter. Now that she thought about it, it was good that she did not mention it. Now that such an important criminal suspect had entered Hadong City, Director Chen must be physically and mentally exhausted. Telling him about it now would only give him a headache. Since that was the case, she had to think of a way to arrest Hao Kai. That way, Director Chen would have time to rectify the behavior of the leaders, especially those like Qi Yishan who were suspected of colluding with gangs. They had to be strictly investigated. Arresting Hao Kai. Qin Wan was still too inexperienced. When she returned to the medicinal cuisine restaurant, it was the peak time for customers. As soon as she entered, Guagua asked her to help Cho Yun serve the dishes. Because Su Yun was too busy, Ruan Qingxuang had been helping in the kitchen. Qin Wan could only put the matter of the wanted criminal aside. She had to send the customers away first. She ate and stayed here for free every day. If she did not put in some effort, it would not be right. From 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, Su Yun was so busy that he did not even have time to drink water. Finally, they sent the last customer away. They were so tired that they sat on the chairs and did not want to move. Su Yun brought out the dishes he had prepared. "Let's eat." Guagua still had an appetite. The lunch money had almost exceeded 20,000 yuan. Naturally, she ate with relish. She even recited a poem. Hoeing grain at noon, sweat dripping into the soil. Who knows that every grain on the plate is hard work? Guagua, you're so awesome. Qin Wan clapped her hands. "You're so awesome. I wasn't as awesome as you when I was young." Guagua looked proud. She waved her hand and said, "You're so annoying. Even if you say that about me, I won't be proud." Su Yun and Ruan Qingxuang were completely speechless. "But you're obviously proud." "Mom, do you want me to tell everyone what you said in your sleep last night?" Guagua threatened. Ruan Qingxuang was stunned. What did I say? Do you really want me to say it? You say. Guagua bent her waist and then narrowed her eyes with ecstasy. Ah, Su Yun, don't. Don't. Su Yun felt a chill behind him. What the F***ck, what did she mean? Ruan Qingxuang's face quickly turned red. She did not remember that she had a dream last night. How could she call out Su Yun's name? And what did she mean by don't? Cho Yun was still eating quietly as if nothing had happened. Qin Wan finally understood after a long time. She laughed on the spot. Guagua's expression just now was as ecstasy as it could be. It was simply vivid. It showed Ruan Qingxuang's shy expression incisively and vividly. Guagua, what do you think Mom meant when she said, don't, ? Qin Wan deliberately mischievous to start the topic. Ruan Qingxuang stared at her. Wan what nonsense are you talking about? Su Yun continued to eat silently and did not dare to say anything. Guagua touched her chin and said seriously, I think that when a woman says, don't, it means the opposite. It means, want. Su Yun could not help but imagine a picture in his mind. Ruan Qingxuang said to him in a naked body, Ah, Su Yun, I want. Puff. Su Yun almost choked to death. Su Yun swore that he would never think of things in the same way as Guagua in his life. It would be easy for him to go crazy. Because of Guagua, the meal ended so easily and happily. In order to avoid embarrassment, Ruan Qingxuang cleaned up the table and ran to the kitchen to wash the dishes. She did not let anyone help her. Guagua had really embarrassed her just now. Cho Yun was going to take Guagua upstairs to rest. Su Yun also thought about going to the front desk to sleep. At this time, Qin Wan took out the wanted order and slapped it directly on the table. The wanted order has been issued. The S-level national wanted criminal has been confirmed to be hiding in Hadong City. This sentence made Su Yun not sleepy at all. His first reaction was to look at Cho Yun, who was about to take Guagua upstairs. Cho Yun trembled and stopped. She patted Guagua and said, Guagua, go upstairs first. I will go up in a while. Guagua was full and only wanted to sleep. She did not care about the wanted criminal. She went upstairs alone to take a nap. Chapter 71. Su Yun picked up the warrant. His eyelids twitched, and he could not help but smile bitterly. Haha, this guy is really tricky. Su Yun. Qin Weiner saw Cho Yun turn around and leave, so she could only pin her hope on Su Yun. I don't know if you have heard of this Hao Kai. He killed 6 police officers and soldiers in a row. That's a heinous crime. Su Yun frowned unconsciously. I hope you can help me, Qin Weiner said. Qin Weiner said, I want to catch this man. He is an extremely dangerous criminal. Otherwise, he would not have been listed as an S-level wanted criminal. This man is cruel and merciless. He is even more merciless to the police. I can't tolerate such a person getting away with it. Su Yun was so shocked that he sneezed. This woman must be crazy. Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? Since you know this man is so dangerous, why do you still want to provoke him? Qin Weiner ignored Su Yun. She looked at Cho Yun's back, who turned around and went upstairs. Cho Yun was stunned after hearing Qin Weiner's words, but she still went upstairs. After living together in the medicinal cuisine house for a while, Qin Weiner did not find Cho Yun doing anything excessive. Although she still could not trust this woman, she still wanted her help because she was sure that Cho Yun and Su Yun were not ordinary people. I have to catch him. Qin Weiner did not look like she was joking at all. Since he came to Hadong City, as a police officer, I can't let him continue to do whatever he wants. It's your right not to help me. I just want to fight for it. Su Yun shrugged. I don't dare to take such a dangerous job. I'm not a police officer. Qin Weiner took back the warrant from Su Yun. She looked a little disappointed. Then pretend I didn't say anything. Don't let Sister Frost know about this. Don't let her worry. You're afraid that she'll advise you not to be so impulsive. Su Yun exposed her. Qin Wan, let me remind you. You better not be stupid enough to confront an S-class wanted criminal. You are like an ant in front of him. He can decide whether or not to kill you in a matter of seconds. So what? Qin Wan snapped. When I killed Gong Yu, I was no match for him either. Su Yun smacked his head. You still have the nerve to say that? If it wasn't for me blocking the bullets for you, and if it wasn't for Cho Yun stabbing that bastard a few times, you wouldn't even have a chance to shoot. If I had known earlier that he was a wanted criminal, I would have shot him. Qin Wan said. None of this would have happened. Su Yun snorted. Do you think that bullets are the fastest thing in the world? Qin Wan was stunned by Su Yun's words. She remembered the scene from that night. That's right. Su Yun's explosive power at that moment was even faster than a bullet. He could react in 0.3 seconds, which was completely beyond the limits of a human. In this world, people who can rely on explosive power to dodge bullets are not lucky. I know a lot of people. Su Yun didn't deny that he was a freak. So, even if you had shot him that day, you might not have killed him. Without giving Qin Wan a chance to speak, Su Yun continued, Gong Yu is just an A-class wanted criminal. You are a police officer. Don't you understand the difference between an S-class and an A-class wanted criminal? The difference between the two is not small. Qin Wan clenched her fists. That's why I need your help. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Su Yun still didn't agree to Qin Wan's request. I don't want to provoke this kind of person. If I do, I will get into big trouble. What are you talking about? Ruan Qingxuang walked out after washing the dishes. Seeing Qin Wan's depressed face, she asked with concern, Wan, what's wrong? Did you encounter something that made you unhappy? Qin Wan forced a smile. Sister Qingxuang, I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. Then go upstairs and rest, Ruan Qingxuang quickly said. Qin Wan nodded and didn't say anything. Since she couldn't persuade Su Yun, she couldn't force him. After all, everyone had the right to choose. She could only rely on herself. After Qin Wan went upstairs, Ruan Qingxuang said to Su Yun, You look after the shop. I'm going to buy some herbs. I'll go. Su Yun stood up. No need. I'm going to buy some other things on the way. Ruan Qingxuang refused Su Yun and then quickly left the medicinal cuisine house. Phew. Su Yun raised his head and looked at the ceiling. Red Scorpion, such a troublesome person, would appear in a small city like Hadong. He was afraid that it was really because of Guagua, right? Su Yun carefully thought about Cho Yun's expression and reaction. He couldn't help but confirm his own thoughts. No wonder the legendary Feng Qiansui would be eliminated in such a short period of time. The opponent really didn't appear. Even a first-rate expert like Red Scorpion had made a move. What a big move. Light footsteps suddenly came from the stairs. Cho Yun slowly walked down the stairs. Her face was full of helplessness. Are you really worried about this person? Su Yun couldn't help but ask. Cho Yun nodded. Her expression was grave as she said, When Qin Wan mentioned that an S-rank wanted criminal entered Hadong City, I began to worry. I always had a trace of hope that it wasn't true. But now, it seems that it can be confirmed. Su Yun smiled slightly. Your injuries are all healed, right? Cho Yun frowned. At least 80 to 90% recovered. Hee, then it's hard to say if you can resist him. Su Yun was very clear that a first-rate expert who lost 10% of their power would have a hard time contending with an opponent of the same level. Cho Yun said somewhat self-deprecatingly, Even if my internal injuries were healed and there were no problems, it would still be very difficult for me to fight against Red Scorpion. Then is Poison Scorpion more dignified than you, a fox venerable? Su Yun was stunned for a moment. Cho Yun's gaze made him stop talking. Cho Yun's pair of bright eyes were like autumn water. If it wasn't for the frightening coldness between her brows, she would definitely be able to charm people to death. The two of them looked at each other and didn't speak for a long time. Finally, Cho Yun spoke. You know my strength very well, but I don't know yours. Su Yun, I know you don't want to say, so I won't ask who you are. I just want to ask you, is what you said to Qin Wan true? What did I say to her? Su Yun was stunned. You said you don't want to provoke this kind of person, Cho Yun said lightly. If that's the case, I'll take Guagua and leave tonight. Su Yun frowned. What do you mean? I'll find a way to deal with it myself. Cho Yun was very serious. I also know how big of a trouble it will be to provoke them. I don't have anything to repay you, so I don't want to trouble you. Su Yun smiled bitterly. Then as a godfather, I'm too cowardly. Red Scorpion isn't like Gong Yu or Qin Hu. Although I don't know if you're from the underground world, since you've heard of him, I think you should know how strong he is. Cho Yun's expression was dim. I did tell Qin Wan that I don't want to get into trouble, Su Yun said with a smile. But I said that if people don't provoke me, I won't provoke them. If he wants to harm my precious daughter, of course I won't sit back and do nothing. Cho Yun's body trembled. She looked at Su Yun with confusion. Don't look at me like that. I'm not a bad person. Su Yun felt uncomfortable being stared at by Cho Yun. From the day I recognized Guagua as my daughter, I have the obligation to protect her and be her shield. Her problems are my problems. If anyone dares to harm her, they'll be harming me. You better not do anything extreme. If you take Guagua away at night, not only will Sister Shuang and I not forgive you, but Guagua won't forgive you either. Cho Yun finally calmed down. It didn't matter if Ruan Qingxuang or Su Yun didn't forgive her. But what about Guagua? If even Guagua didn't forgive her, what should she do? Although Su Yun wasn't relaxed, he could only pretend to be calm. No matter how big of a matter it is, it'll pass. It wasn't known if Guagua also had a sixth sense. She originally went to her room to take an afternoon nap, but when she heard Cho Yun come downstairs, she also got up. She heard every single word of the conversation between Cho Yun and Su Yun. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. If Scarlet Scorpion comes, there's Godfather to hold him back. Guagua finally couldn't hold back. While walking downstairs, she expressed her inner thoughts. Sister Cho Yun, I don't want to leave. Cho Yun's heart softened. She completely lost her own ideas. She also didn't want to leave, but she really didn't know how much longer she could hold on. Scarlet Scorpion was already an opponent she couldn't control. Even if she was lucky enough to escape this calamity with Su Yun's help, what about the next time? What about the next time? Only the heavens knew if there would be a day when Green Demon personally appeared in front of her again. Regarding this thought, Cho Yun was both afraid and expectant. She hoped that there would be a day when she could personally deal with this person, but she also knew that she had no chance of winning. If that day really came, she was afraid that she would no longer be able to protect Guagua. That's a must. Su Yun laughed mischievously at Guagua. I absolutely can't let my daughter suffer. Guagua rushed into Su Yun's embrace with a happy expression. Hee, I just knew that Daddy treats Guagua the best. Here, Guagua didn't forget the matter of me agreeing to help you take a photo. As she spoke, Guagua handed over Ruan Qingxuang's phone to Su Yun. He opened the photo album. Although the photo was dark and not particularly clear, Su Yun could still faintly see Ruan Qingxuang's graceful figure lying on the bed in a perfect S shape wearing only her underwear. Damn, he didn't acknowledge this daughter for nothing. Let alone Scarlet Scorpion. Even if Scarlet Scorpion's father came, Su Yun would absolutely fight. For the photo, he would fight. He had to fight. But right now, the most important task should be to first give Guagua a digital camera with better photo quality at night. Hee. Dad, nosebleed. Guagua helplessly shook her head. You can't even handle this little bit of stimulation. That's a bit too weak. I originally wanted to take a photo of something even more explosive. No problem, I can handle it. Su Yun admitted. Even if he spat out blood and died, it would be worth it. Chapter 72. Ruan Qingshuang soon returned from the pharmacy. Guagua pretended that nothing had happened and quickly deleted the photos in her phone. She ran to Ruan Qingshuang with a bright face. "Mom, you forgot to take your phone when you went out." "Thank you, Guagua." Ruan Qingshuang took the phone and put it in her pocket. She didn't realize that she had been betrayed by this little girl. Su Yun felt a chill in his heart. He suspected that Guagua had also betrayed him like this. What a black-bellied little evildoer. She really was the kind of person who wanted others to help her count the money after she betrayed them. Cho Yun said that she was going out for a walk and walked out of the medicinal cuisine house. Now that Red Scorpion had appeared, she had to be more careful. Cho Yun almost walked around Hadong and found that the biggest change was that many conspicuous places were pasted with Red Scorpion's wanted posters. It was no wonder that Qin Waner would come to Su Yun and her for help with the wanted posters. Since the police had put in so much effort, Cho Yen also directly found the southern city's 3 tigers and had them mobilize all the hoodlums. As long as someone discovered Red Scorpion, they were to immediately inform her. Furthermore, they also used Qin Waner's name to guarantee that if anyone's information was accurate, they would definitely give a reward of 500,000. Hearing that there was so much money, many people were envious. Dan Hongning asked weakly, "Sister Yen, how much money do you think we will get if we catch this person?" Cho Yun looked at Dan Hongning coldly. "I'm afraid you won't have the life to spend this money. The police only give a reward for information, not a bounty. If you want a bounty, I can tell you that this person's head is more than 8 digits. 8 digits? What the hell, more than 10 million. The bounty that Cho Yun mentioned was, of course, not given by the police. The police didn't have so much money. The bounty that Cho Yun mentioned was the fiend spirit list that was recognized by the underground world. This was a wanted list, and only those who were famous in the underground world could have a name on it. Cho Yen did not know who set up the list, and what was the basis for determining the value of the bounty hunters. All she knew was that her head, which was worth $13 million, was wanted by many people. "If you don't want to die, don't alert the enemy," Cho Yun said coldly. "This person is not someone you can deal with." The 3 tigers of Southern City couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Cho Yun said that the person was so terrifying, it really made people feel scared. Even with the support of Su Yun and Cho Yun, the 3 of them couldn't help but tremble in fear. Qin Wan received a call from the bureau. The bureau chief, Chan Wei, had temporarily transferred her to the task force and asked her to cooperate with the criminal police. This was undoubtedly giving Qin Wan more pressure. Chen Wei only thought that Qin Wan had a noble behind her, but Qin Wan didn't tell him that the noble behind her refused this matter. From the beginning to the end, Su Yun didn't agree to help her for a reason. It was because Su Yun knew that the police were very troublesome. As long as he agreed, Qin Waner's leader would definitely make all kinds of demands. At that time, he would be the one who would have a headache. Now, Su Yun didn't agree, but if they really encountered that dangerous guy, of course, he wouldn't sit idly by. After all, that bastard's purpose of coming to Hadong was his goddaughter, Guagua. He should be more nervous than the police. Although Guagua also understood that it might not be peaceful recently, she couldn't fully understand the world of adults. As for how dangerous the danger was, she had no idea. However, after all, Guagua had experienced the experience of being pulled down from the clouds by the Feng family, so her psychological endurance was much stronger than that of ordinary children. Ruan Qingshuang, who was kept in the dark, still put all her thoughts on the medicinal cuisine house. Today, Hadong TV station would broadcast yesterday's recording of the medicinal cuisine house. She turned on the TV excitedly. With this promotion, she believed that the business of the medicinal cuisine house would be better. Now, in addition to the main restaurant, the medicinal cuisine house had opened 6 branches. Moreover, medicinal cuisine had appeared on the menu of many hotels and restaurants. Some were promoted by the 3 tigers of Nanqing through their connections, and some were directly pirated when they saw that it was profitable. It could be said that medicinal cuisine was completely popular in Hadong City in a short period of time. As for those pirated guys, Su Yun was also ready to teach them a lesson. They could join, but they had to pay the joining fee. However, they couldn't just use the name of Ruan's medicinal cuisine and not pay. That would be a bit unfair to their ancestors. After watching the TV station's recorded interview, Ruan Qingshuang was quite happy. In the afternoon, many guests also talked about the TV station's broadcast. They also praised the medicinal cuisine house. Chou Yun came back after giving orders to the 3 tigers of Nanqing. Qin Wan had to attend an emergency meeting because of the S-level wanted criminal, so she couldn't come back for a while. Hearing that Qin Wan was involved in such a dangerous task, Ruan Qingshuang was somewhat worried. However, it was Wan Er's job, so she couldn't not support her. She could only pray that Wan would not be in danger. This time, the police struck like lightning and quickly set up a special task force. The wanted posters posted all over the street made the people feel more nervous. However, some people naturally didn't know how to write the word nervous, such as the guy on the wanted poster himself. The bearded red scorpion looked at the wanted poster handed to him by Ma Pinghai with a smile. He sighed helplessly. These policemen were really like dog skin plasters. It had been so long, but they still didn't let him go. He was targeted after taking a plane. He was really unlucky. Master Kai, why don't you go away for a while? Ma Pinghai's forehead was full of sweat. He was nervous. Ma Pinghai, the big boss of Hadong City, who was called Secretary Ma, had never been so humble before. However, in front of Hao Kai, he was no different from a grandson. Hao Kai, nicknamed Red Scorpion, was the #1 master under Green Ghost. His reputation in the underground world was definitely not for nothing. In the underground world, a first-class master was regarded as a treasure by the strong, while the weak were scared out of their wits. To be able to make a name for oneself in the underground world, who didn't have a first-class master under his command. In the past, the big boss of Suong, Feng Chen Sui, had a first-class master under his command, Violent Fox revered Chou Yun. It was the same today. For example, the big boss of Zhonghui, Maitreya Buddha Wei Yishan, had a first-class master nicknamed Crazy Bear, Xiong Feng. The overlord of southern Lunnan, Wang Long Huang, who was given the title of Son of Heaven, had no lack of first-class masters under his command like Executioner Miao Dao and Black Tiger Luo Xing. These were fierce people who weren't inferior to Violent Fox revered. Of course, those big bosses who could take them under their command were not simple. Their charisma was definitely outstanding. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to make these unruly first-class masters work for them. Secretary Ma, what I hate the most is hiding. Red Scorpion Hao Kai appeared to be somewhat impatient. Looks like you're afraid of being implicated? Or, do you want to earn that 500,000? The wanted poster clearly wrote, those who know but don't report, cover up or harbor criminal suspects will be investigated for criminal responsibility. When Ma Pinghai heard this, his face changed color. I wouldn't dare. Master Kai, I wouldn't dare to think like that. I'm just worried that you'll be discovered by the police. I'm really considering your safety. The number of police officers who died in my hands is already not few. Red Scorpion Hao Kai's eyes revealed a touch of cold light. I don't care about killing a few more. If the police of Hadong City want to die, then I can only help them. Don't you think so? Ma Pinghai's head was covered in cold sweat. He was also a person who didn't shrink from committing any crime. In the past, when the urban and rural areas were being demolished, he took the initiative to volunteer. He directly crippled the residents who refused to move. He himself couldn't even remember how many people he had killed. He didn't even blink when he used a knife or a gun. But even such a fierce person didn't dare to say that he would casually kill police officers. No matter how many crimes he didn't commit, he could only be called an evil person. But Red Scorpion Hao Kai sitting in front of him was an out-and-out demon. Yes. Ma Pinghai sucked in a breath of cold air. He couldn't understand why this ruthless person had targeted him. A few days ago, Red Scorpion Hao Kai came to Ma Pinghai's villa. At that time, Ma Pinghai wasn't home. Hao Kai acted like it was his own home. He slept with two of Ma Pinghai's mistresses and used Ma Pinghai's private jacuzzi to soak in. He ate and drank casually. He even opened a bottle of highly collectible white wine that Ma Pinghai kept in his wine cabinet. Ma Pinghai was very shocked that someone dared to barge into his house. Of course, he was furious. His first thought was to kill this person who dared to commit such atrocities in his house. The outcome was within reason. Ma Pinghai's most capable fighters had all been sent to the hospital with serious injuries. As a Peking University boss, his entire army had been wiped out. Ma Pinghai had also completely admitted defeat. He directly supported this ancestor at home. Red Scorpion Hao Kai's request was very simple. He gave Ma Pinghai 2 photos. As long as he could find the people in the photos, he would naturally leave. Ma Pinghai was angry but didn't dare to say anything. Although Hadong City wasn't big, it still had a population of a few million people. How could it be easy to find 2 people in a sea of people? Furthermore, most of his subordinates were hospitalized. He couldn't possibly search alone, right? Later, Ma Pinghai thought things through. Anyway, this ancestor wasn't in a hurry. He could slowly search. With good food and good women supporting him, he didn't lose his temper. But today, when he left the house, Ma Pinghai was dumbfounded. There were arrest warrants for this ancestor everywhere. Only then did Ma Pinghai realize that this person was actually Hao Kai, an S-rank wanted criminal in the country. This scared Ma Pinghai silly. Harboring such a wanted criminal was more serious than harboring 10,000 thieves. Just this point alone was enough to make him tremble in fear for 3 to 5 days. Now, this ancestor couldn't be sent away. If the police really came to investigate and were killed, Ma Pinghai wouldn't be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Now, Ma Pinghai could only grit his teeth and swallow his anger. He prayed that no one knew that this dangerous person was in his house. For this, Ma Pinghai even spared no expense to find the taxi driver who had sent Hao Kai to his villa that day. He directly used his family to threaten him. Before he left, he even gave him 200,000 yuan as hush money. But this was all temporary. Ma Pinghai knew that if he wanted to have no worries, he had to make this ancestor leave his house as soon as possible. There was only one way to make him leave his house, and that was to find the person in the photos. Chapter 73. Ma Pinghai called Wu Lei. Wu Lei was obviously surprised. Secretary Ma, why do you think of me when you are so busy? Brother, you know me. I don't like to owe people. Today, I have something important to talk to you about. Ma Pinghai went straight to the point. This was not any other time. Now he was begging for help. I have something to ask you. Tonight, 6 o'clock, Golden Hotel. I'll be the host. Wu Lei was the youngest of the 3 big bosses in Hadong City. He was only in his early 40s, but he was meticulous and clear-headed, so he rose quickly. Secretary Ma, why are you so polite to me? Hee, if you want a drink, I'll accompany you as your brother. I know you're the most loyal brother. Ma Pinghai breathed a sigh of relief. See you tonight. See you then. After hanging up the phone with Wu Lei, Ma Pinghai took a deep breath and called Jin Biao. Brother Biao, it's me. Do you have time? Secretary Ma, are you trying to shorten my life by calling me that? Jin Biao had just been discharged from the hospital. His mouth was still swollen, and it hurt to speak. Brother Hai, just say it. Don't be polite with me. Ma Pinghai knew that Jin Biao was not as straightforward as Wu Lei, so he did not have much hope. Brother Biao, don't laugh at me. I have something to ask you. Jin Biao was slightly stunned. He knew Ma Pinghai. He rarely asked for help. How old was he to ask him for help? 6 o'clock in the evening, Golden Hotel. Wu Lei and I will be waiting for Brother Biao. Ma Pinghai saw that Jin Biao did not speak, so he could only use Wu Lei to increase his bargaining chip. Hearing that Wu Lei was also going, Jin Biao was shocked. There were only 2 people who were as famous as him in the underworld of Hadong City. They actually asked him to eat with them. He had to go. Brother Hai, this meal is on me. I'll be there. After a few words, Jin Biao finally hung up the phone. Jin Biao dialed a number in his heart. He didn't go to this meal to help Ma Pinghai, but to take the opportunity to talk about the new forces in the southern 2nd District. If it wasn't for Qi Yishan, Jin Biao would have been dead a long time ago. Moreover, Qi Yishan had told him not to provoke that person again. They also had the support of the people from the police station. Moreover, Qin Wan who supported them, was now a big favorite in front of Chief Chen. Jin Biao completely gave up the idea of devouring the 2nd District of the South, but he had to find a chance to reconcile. Otherwise, he was worried that it would be troublesome if the other party retaliated. If he could rope in the other 2 big shots to stand on his side, then make it clear to the other party that he would let them take the position of the big shot in the South, they might be able to coexist peacefully. If the other party didn't agree, then he would think of a way to incite Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei to join forces with him to kill the other party. Ma Pinghai hung up the phone and calmed down a little. He went directly to the Golden Pavilion Hotel. He couldn't delay this matter any longer, or he would really be in trouble. At 6 o'clock, Wu Lei arrived first. Ma Pinghai had prepared the most luxurious private room and ordered the best dishes and wine. When Wu Lei saw this, he muttered in his heart, "Could this old man be asking them to help him kill someone? Secretary Ma, we don't have to be so extravagant, right? We're all on the same side. Why? It's just a common meal. Brother, you don't have to be so polite to me," Ma Pinghai said as he took out a box of Nanjing King of the 9 and 5 and handed it over. He immediately took out a lighter to light Wu Lei's cigarette. Wu Lei hurriedly refused and lit the cigarette himself. He didn't know what Ma Pinghai wanted him to do. Of course, he wouldn't let him light the cigarette casually. It was not bad to eat a meal and not do something for him. If he even lit the cigarette, then he would help him with everything. After the 2 of them lit up their cigarettes, Jin Biao walked in with his belly protruding. Although he had been injected with the best anti-inflammatory injections, the bruises on his face were faintly discernible. "Brother Ma, isn't your treatment a bit too high? I thought you were going to entertain the country's leaders. Ha ha ha." Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei were a little surprised when they saw Jin Biao. "Oh, isn't this Brother Wu Lei? Long time no see," Jin Biao said and stepped forward to shake hands. Wu Lei also got up to greet him. "Brother Biao, please, sit inside." Ma Pinghai was puzzled. "Brother Biao, this injury." In fact, Wu Lei also wanted to ask, but due to his young age, he was too embarrassed to ask. After all, no one would be embarrassed to talk about being beaten. "Brother Hai, don't mention it. Our Hadong underworld has a fierce dragon crossing the river. I'm afraid I can't keep the Eastern District. Today, I'll give you a reminder," Jin Biao said with a depressed face. "Did you see that? This beating was ruthless enough, right? This is nothing. My nephew directly detained him, and the police came to take him away. His background is strong enough." Listening to Jin Biao's words, Wu Lei forgot who he was here for today. "Brother Biao, who is so capable? He even dared to touch you? Touch me? Humph, you guys wait." Jin Biao sneered. "Maybe when the 3 of us will die, the entire Hadong underworld will belong to him." Ma Pinghai and Wu Lei took a deep breath. Who was so powerful? Jin Biao waved his hand. "Okay, let's not talk about it. Brother Hai, why did you call us here? Just say it. We're all brothers. Don't be polite." Ma Pinghai smiled slightly and asked the waiter to serve the dishes and wine. He said to the 2, "No hurry, no hurry. Let's eat first." During the meal, Ma Pinghai got up and toasted several times. He did enough foreplay. Jin Biao also took this opportunity to talk about the situation in the second southern district. Obviously, the other two were also very curious about this new force. The people who dared to touch Jin Biao were not simple. Now that Jin Biao said it was so evil, it naturally made the two feel a little nervous. Soon they were full. Jin Biao also expressed what he wanted to express clearly. He said to Ma Ping Hai, "Brother Hai, what do you want to tell us? I drank a lot of this wine. If you don't say it, I'm afraid I will be drunk in a while." Ma Ping Hai took out an envelope and put it on the table. He turned it to Jin Biao. "I just want the two of you to help me find the two people in the photo. A friend of mine is looking for them. I really don't have enough manpower. This matter is quite urgent, so I can only ask the two of you to help me find a way." Wu Lei originally thought that it was a big deal to have such a big show and foreplay. It turned out that he was looking for people. "Okay, Secretary Ma, you can rest assured. I will ask my men to help you pay attention." Although Jin Biao picked up the envelope, he didn't have the mood to look at the photo. Did he need their help to find people? He simply looked down on them. "Brother Hai, you are really leisurely and elegant. You are still helping your friend find people. We may not even be able to keep our own territory now." Ma Ping Hai frowned. Although he felt that Jin Biao was exaggerating the new forces in the second southern district, he felt that the injury on Jin Biao's face was not fake. "What should we do?" "Yes, Brother Biao, they dare to make a move on you. I am really a little flustered," Wu Lei said. Among the three people, his force was the smallest. If there was a fierce person, he needed the help of the two most. Jin Biao knew that today's meal was not in vain. "Whether we can keep our own territory depends on whether we can unite." "You tell me, how can we unite?" Ma Ping Hai frowned. If he had to send people, he would have no one. Right now, he needed the help of these two people in this kind of thing. Jin Biao had already thought about it. "Tomorrow, I will be the middleman. The three of us will invite them out and directly say it. We will support them to control the second southern district, but the premise is that they can't interfere with our affairs. If the other party doesn't agree and has the intention to expand, no matter who it is, we will unite to resist." "Okay." These words definitely resonated, but it was a selfish resonance for everyone. Jin Biao had this idea because he knew that if the other party made a move, he would be the first target. Ma Ping Hai agreed because no one under him could resist the invasion of other forces. He didn't have the courage to ask Scarlet Scorpion Hao Kai for help. Wu Lei supported this because he felt that he was the weakest among the three. He didn't know that he was the only one among the three who had a little defensive ability. "Then we have a deal." Jin Biao finally smiled in his heart. "If there is nothing else, I will go back first." It's a deal." Wu Lei nodded. "I will go first, too." Ma Ping Hai saw that Jin Biao hadn't opened the envelope to look at the photo and quickly reminded, "Brother Biao, Brother Wu, don't forget to help me find the two people in the photo." "Don't worry." Jin Biao waved the photo in his hand and said to Ma Ping Hai, "I will make 1,000 copies when I go out. Haha, let Brother Wu Lei bring back a few hundred copies and distribute them." Ma Ping Hai's heart dropped. This could be considered a load off his mind. With so many informants, it might be faster to find people. When Jin Biao and Wu Lei walked out of the restaurant, Jin Biao directly tore the envelope in front of Wu Lei and threw it directly into the trash can. Wu Lei was slightly stunned. He wanted to ask, but he still held back. Jin Biao saw Wu Lei's puzzled expression and patted Wu Lei's shoulder. "Brother, this is a critical moment. Ma Ping Hai still wants us to help him find people. Does he really think he is the secretary? This matter should be done by his own underlings. Why do he want us to do it? Look at my injuries. I was intercepted by their people in my own territory in Tuoshan Mountain. You have to be careful." When Wu Lei heard this, he also felt that it was reasonable. Now there was a fierce dragon that wanted to expand the territory. Of course, he didn't have the time to find people for Ma Ping Hai. What he had to do now was to let his brothers pay attention to the movements in the 2nd Southern District. "Brother Biao, thank you for reminding me," Wu Lei said. "You can rest assured. I am definitely on your side. If they dare to do it, we will fight with them." Jin Biao nodded and vowed. I am relieved to hear this from my brother." Wu Lei had a face of loyalty, but he was already prepared in his heart. "If you want to go, you 2 veterans will go first." He would not be stupid to let his brothers be the vanguard. When their forces were weakened, it would not be too late for him to make a move. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.